Robert Iacob.
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 Yeah, it's Jacob with an I. So confusing.
I see.
Like,
what'd you say nationality that is?
Romanian.
Romanian.
Yeah.
And you were born in Romania? Or your parents were?
My parents are immigrants. I was born in Los Angeles.
Oh, for some reason that must have went over my head. How come you guys didn't stay out there?
They road tripped out to Missouri like 20 years ago, and they're like, this place looks beautiful. So they decided to move to Springfield and then raise like a family there. I mean, it was their call. Ultimately, like, you know, parents make decisions, and you just got to live life. And
Yeah.
I'm grateful for the way I was raised,
Right.
and I love Missouri.
That's
the end of
good.
the day. Yeah.
So you drove 3 hours, right, to get
Yeah.
here?
Yeah.
For this podcast, the Airbnb master, Robert Iacob.
Yeah, there you go.
I got it now?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So you came to Missouri at what age?
I was like 4.
4?
I believe I was, as soon as I can have like memories, like conscious memories.
So you have no memories of Los Angeles?
No, I have pictures, you know, that's about it.
And what part of Los Angeles were you?
Orange County.
Oh, yeah, that's such a nice place.
Yeah.
Do you ever wish they would have just stayed there?
I mean, not really. I mean, my life has played out, like the events that have happened in my life. Like, I'm grateful for the way they, I guess, developed. And I know it would not be the same if I was in LA.
Yeah.
So
When in your timeline did you eventually get into Airbnb?
that happened recently. That happened like within the past 2 years. And it happened in a way that like, I wasn't expecting it. Like, you know, when I looked at my future, you know, growing up, I would have never thought hospitality or Airbnb or like accommodation would be how I make money.
Right.
So it's just what really drew me to the idea was you can build a system and you can build like a machine that just works. And, you know, that's where you invest your capital, invest resources and time, and you just leave it. And then that's really what made it so enticing for me.
Right. And are you buying the properties or are you renting them?
Renting them.
Renting the properties.
So, yeah, the cost to get into this when you're leasing is fraction of what it would cost you to purchase a property, put 20% down, and it's just so much more scalable. Now, obviously, there's pros and cons to buying and renting.
Right.
Obviously, when you own the property, you own real estate, you build equity, you can eventually own the home outright and then pull a HELOC against it, or there's so many ways you can play that. It's powerful. But in the sense, like my vision with what I'm doing is I want to get to a point where I'm making $300,000 a month in this Airbnb revenue, the short-term rental revenue, and I can get there so much faster by just leasing the properties.
It makes sense. Now, would you ever do people in the Airbnb space do rent to owns then?
Yeah, so that's something I'm looking at right now. Actually,
Yeah.
It's funny you mentioned that. I have with this whole pandemic. That's just like it's the new angle I'm looking at right now. So in the process of getting like a land contract on one of the properties that I'm renting. I'm renting 3 units out of a triplex.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to try to buy that property with a rent to own land contract, like seller financing, and then I'm going to propose this idea to a few of the other landlords that I'm renting from, but. Just no banks, nothing. It's just you're dealing with the other person.
That's
really,
the move.
Yeah,
that's the move. And just everyone watch on YouTube. To be clear, I just got out of the shower. That's why I'm wearing the robe. That's why my hair is wet. But anyway, how many properties do you have right now?
We're currently at 9.
9 properties.
Yeah.
I guess back to the original question. When you first started, were you trying anything else besides? Because did you dropped out of college or did you?
I dropped.
You dropped out of college. Yeah. And did you drop out of college and then find Airbnb, or did you find Airbnb and then drop out of college?
I dropped out of college and found Airbnb. I was at a very interesting point in my life because I'd sold Bitcoin at 20,000. So
jeez,
I owned like 1 Bitcoin. So I bought it at 11,000, sold it at 20,000, and then I'd made that money in like a week's time. So
right.
It was just I was sitting on this money that I needed to invest, and so that's why I started a YouTube channel and I was looking at different online income streams as well. I was looking at Shopify a little bit, and then I was looking at Amazon FBA. I had like a whole case study on that I was going to get into. But it's just something that just the opportunity just came into my life. It's one of those things that I didn't hesitate to act on it.
Right.
A few reasons, mainly because I'd not seen or heard anyone doing it. Like there's the influencer scene on YouTube. There was like 3 people talking about this opportunity. And I saw my rise to influence being a lot more attainable versus jumping into like a already saturated space. Yeah. As far as just like the easiest way to make money online is talk about how to make money online.
Right.
And obviously the YouTube CPM for these like finance categories are just like through the roof.
Unreal.
So, yeah.
So wait, was your first video on Bitcoin then? Cryptocurrency?
It was like a finance, like stock related video. Because I started investing in stocks when I was 18.
Mm-hmm.
So
and how old are you now?
I'm 23. I'm almost 23. I'm turning 23 this month.
So 22 right now.
Yeah.
22 and married.
Yeah. I'm married. Yeah.
Hell yeah.
That's the purpose of life right there.
Yeah. You found it early.
Yeah. And I'm grateful for that.
Absolutely.
But just to go back to like how I got into this, I started managing my finances well at 18. Like I realized I was going to school to be a nurse. So I was going to go like 4 years, get a degree, that whole thing. And then I was like, I'm making more money trading stocks and like chemistry class than I would be working a whole entire shift as a nurse. I was like making $300, $400 a day, day trading. And I was like, why am I here? Like I couldn't even focus. I was looking at the teacher, like she was going off. I was like, my mind was somewhere else. And then I realized in order for me to live the life that I wanted, it wasn't following that traditional path of going to school. And this was like 2015. Like this was back when not going to college was like looked down upon.
Yeah.
All the adults in your life, they're like, you're not going to school. Like, you're going to be a miserable failure. Like it was just, I got all of it. And, at the time I just took a leap of faith. I started working a job and I got straight to work. I was like, look, you need money to make money. Right. I understood that right away. And then, I started working a manual labor job in a warehouse and I was able to stack up. I was living at home making like $500, $700 a week. It was like a production pay job, so it wasn't like a fixed hourly salary. Yeah, it wasn't like an hourly rate. I was working and then getting paid based off of like how much work I did.
Do you remember when you were going to drop out? Did you like Google, should I drop out or anything like that?
No, I knew it. I knew that because I guess I'd seen enough millennials or young adults in my life go to school, get the job, and then they just got stuck. So yeah. I watched that happen enough times to observe it, and I realized like, that's not the way I want to live my life.
Yeah, that's what I did right there.
Just Googled it.
Second semester of college. I remember I was like studying for a test. I'm like, this is crazy to even Google, but I'm just going to Google and see what pops up. Like, should I drop out of college? And I found a lot of great points. I remember one article is like, if you have any athletic ability at all, you can take the 5 years and the money you'd spend at college and the time you'd spend at college in those 5 years and invest it all in becoming a professional soccer player, baseball player, and chances are you might get really, if you're always constantly practicing for 5 years, you're gonna get so far ahead. But it's like you're saying, you're making more money in the college class and you're paying to be there.
Yeah, exactly. It just didn't make sense to me. I was like, I want to say that I was thinking way faster than what the school system was like providing. Yeah. Like I was in class, I was like, why am I going to spend a semester learning how to do chemistry? I mean, I learned this on YouTube in like 2 days. Yeah. I learned more from YouTube about chemistry than my college professor.
Right. Because the process of getting the information into the teaching is
slow.
By the time it's there, it's gone because they said information is doubling 7 months. Mm-hmm. And if that's true, when you become a doctor in 7 months, you're not going to know half the stuff you're supposed to.
And that's crazy. And like that's the power of YouTube right now. And that's, I'm grateful that I took that. I think that decision to invest in like a camera and like a setup to start filming videos, that ultimately opened up every opportunity that came afterwards. So like Airbnb, like that whole venture kind of seeded from me starting a YouTube channel. And like, I was like, look, I need to document something on here. Like, I don't want to just, run out of content talking about some like regurgitated information. So that is partially why I jumped into it. Like, I was so invested in it. And it wasn't like at the beginning, like the profits weren't anything substantial. Mm-hmm. It was just like barely making profit at first. And then, start making a couple $100 profit and you're like, okay, like it's actually working. So, I scaled that idea. And I think that me being on YouTube is partially like why I jumped into it like head first. And, obviously I manage risk accordingly because like through this whole pandemic, I'm still making money. Right. Whereas like other businesses, brick and mortars, they're just completely shuttered. They can't even turn $1 in revenue.
Right. So, thank God when you dropped out, you didn't say, I'm gonna start the best restaurant in town.
Yeah, no. I knew it had to be internet based. I see the progression and how like technology is advanced and, anything that, I think online income is so enticing for anybody to like look at it and like try to make money because you eliminate having a boss, you eliminate having
set location.
Yeah, set location. Yeah, you always say location neutral income automation. Yeah, I love that line. It's so powerful.
When you dropped out, did people start treating you differently? Like were there because I guess for me when I dropped out, in people's eyes, I could see like anytime I talked about social media marketing or drop shipping, they kind of like glazed over.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't have, anyone that I was associated with or like hanging out with that I'd really talk to on a daily basis. I had a few close friends, but like as far as adults, yeah, they would tell me I made a mistake, or they were like, you should have stayed in school. So from adults, I understood their perspective too. Like they don't understand what's happening with business and with technology.
Right.
Like they don't see it the same way we do. So yeah, I just got away from those people though. That is the ultimate, I guess. That's what separated me, like separated the gap, and helped me kind of just advance. Is just getting away from all that energy and all that like toxicity. It's just it could definitely like change your direction very quickly.
Easily, if you let it.
Yeah.
If you let it. I worked with a lot of people. I remember I dropped out of college and I got my old job back at Napoli too. And I walk in and I'm telling everyone how excited I am. I'm like, I'm moving to LA in a year. I'm just gonna work here. And this one guy, he was like 40 and he's been working there 15 years. He's like, no, you need to get back to school. He started yelling at me right now.
Yeah.
Well, now he's on unemployment and I'm like comfortable. So it's
at work when I was working, I'm glad I joined the workforce at an early age. I was 18 when I got my like first professional job. I was working in a hospital. I was a phlebotomist drawing blood.
Oh my gosh.
So like my job was like to carry a box of needles all day and just shove them in people's arms.
Oh
and it's just like, I learned so much in that field. I'm so grateful that I was there with a positive attitude every day, whereas my coworkers were miserable. They would just walk in, dragging their feet, complaining, oh, I got to go to work. Like it was just, I noticed that. And that didn't change when I got my job at the warehouse. Like I saw the same exact attitude, the same exact approach to life.
And I'm assuming they're way older than you.
Yeah. Oh, all these people would definitely like these people have lived, they have kids, like they're it's just like their profession. Like that's what they chose to do with their life. And there's young people that come, they're in nursing school or something, they're going to go through there and work that job at the hospital. But for me, it opened up my perspective to the workforce, and I realized really quickly that I wanted to be the one employing people, not the one working in the system that they need to work for like a paycheck.
Right.
So
when you started getting Airbnb, would you say that you wouldn't have attacked Airbnb as hard as you did if you weren't on YouTube at the same time?
I think so. I think that's partially why, like I was saying earlier, I think that just having something to show others, like, right, I can prove to you that I can make income on my own, that is going to bring in an audience. It's going to bring in a viewer, because right now, like the country we live in, everyone like makes money by working a job. And I get that all the time in my comments. Like, why don't you, like the haters of like, why don't you just work a job like everyone else?
It's always construction workers.
Yeah.
I don't know if you, at least for
I don't
me,
even pay attention. I don't even disregard them.
Oh, you mean in like the YouTube comments?
The YouTube comments.
When I was running Facebook ads for my personal brand, I'd get death threats all the time from construction workers. Like 80% of the time, it was them. Their profile picture was just them in the construction outfit.
The hard hat.
Yeah, the hard hat.
I have nothing against that. I think that people need to work. Obviously, not everyone can have this type of lifestyle or like make money on their own. Like I realized when I quit my job, my warehouse job I worked at for 2 years, and then I quit to pursue making money on my own. I realized that time management was the hardest thing. That it took me three to 4 months to even like do something. Right. I was in like that analysis paralysis phase where I would just be absorbing information all day, but I would not do anything with it. And I was running out of money too. I was like, I'm going through this money. I'm living. I need to do something. And like, kind of had my back against the wall with life, and then just kind of had a breakthrough. But time management is definitely something that people need. Yeah. And I know Elon Musk said this in his podcast with Joe Rogan. He's like, the way to make a lot of money is to organize people. And that, I feel that. And that's kind of where I'm at right now. Like, I don't want to be working a job in my life. I want to be providing jobs for people to work.
There you go.
And that's the type of system that Airbnb is. Like, if you do everything right and you set yourself up with a good solid foundation, you're going to be, helping others. Like, for example, the cleaners that now work for me, or like now we work together. They're making money because I'm making money. Right. So it's like an ecosystem. And
do you have any other property manager? Is it you communicating with all the people?
Yeah, it's not hard. Like it's like getting a text message. You just respond to it really quickly.
Well, I'm sure sometimes it can be hard.
You got to make decisions. People always want a lower rate, or they want to negotiate this or that, which is like, you just got to be firm. Have your protocols, like have standard operating protocols in place, and then don't veer away from them, and it's just smooth. Yeah, smooth sailing operation.
So tell me about your first property.
My first property, the landlord is like 72 right now. I think he's an old man. He's graying. It's his only rental.
Is it a house?
It's a house. It's a 2-bedroom, one bathroom house. It's actually in a really nice neighborhood. It's, I would say it needs a remodel, but it's doing the job. Like it did 20,000 the first year. And that's me without knowing. I mean, like if the landlord's going to rent that property, he's going to make like $8,200 or whatever on rent. And I like doubled his rent in 1 year. I was like, this is crazy. So
almost tripled.
Yeah. No, it's very lucrative. And I mean, that was like 2018, moving in 2019. Like obviously the space is changing so quickly.
Yeah.
And you just have to adapt, and there's always a way to make it through. But I'm grateful for him, because that was like the social proof I needed to just go out and pitch other people. And I use them as a reference for, multiple points. It just like it accelerated the scalability of everything.
And okay, so then you would be like 20, right? When you got this first one? Mm-hmm. 20.
Yeah, I was a baby face, man. I was like no experience in business, no experience in sales or anything like that. This venture teaches you a lot about rejection. And like I used to hate going, like I would schedule a meeting to go like pitch somebody, like let me Airbnb your property. Yeah. And I would be in my car before that. I would be like shaking. Like it was such an uncomfortable time and place. Right. And now it's just like second nature. Like I'll walk into like a high rise and just kill it. Yeah. And right now I would say that I'd be at 25 units right now if it wasn't for COVID. Like I was on a roll. Damn. Like the week before this kind of unfolded, I was like peaking like in my performance and my confidence and just like everything in life. I had a bunch of units lined up. I'd actually signed 3 units in Kansas City that I backed out of the same week that Trump announced a travel ban.
Did you have to like take a hit because of that? Like, were there any deposits of any sort?
So yeah, right now there's a $3,800 deposit for 3 apartments that is kind of in limbo. I don't know what exactly is going to happen with this whole thing, because technically I'm still on the lease, but I'm just like trying to break the lease. So obviously with the lease breakage, like there's like a monetary penalty for that.
Is there a credit penalty too?
No. I mean, I'm using like a business. It's not me. So it's just like on paper, it's not my name. Yeah. So, I mean, but I think anyone would understand that through this time, they're not going to like look at me like you got evicted or whatever, like through COVID. It's like, I think everyone I know is dealing with this uncertainty. Yeah. So that I'm kind of waiting to see what's going to happen. So those 3 leases, they're trying to make us pay like $12,000 to break every one of those leases.
$12,000 each?
I believe so.
Oh, what?
Yeah, it's crazy. It's like 300% of the rent or the contractor amount or something. I don't know. I just, I'm dealing with that right now, but in that sense, I think we'll get through it just fine. I mean, if it wasn't for COVID, like I would have killed. I have 3 units worth of furniture sitting in a storage locker right now. Oh, no. Yeah. So it kind of just happened in, I guess, the wrong time. But then again, like we're here. You just got to get through it.
Yeah, so. I mean, you already have 9 properties, right, under your belt. Mm-hmm. Take me through the process of going from 1 to 9, because I'm sure it changes.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, understanding the business model first of all. Like my first 2, I was paying the entire security deposit. I was paying first month's rent up front, already thousands of dollars tied up. So with scaling, I learned this little trick, a little negotiating tactic, where you just negotiate away the front end expenses. So I would walk in there and I'm like, I'm going to pick up 3 units from you. I want all the deposits removed and I'm not paying first month's rent. So just like, laying it out on the table. And then most of these apartment complexes, like they're hurting for occupancy. Right. Like one of these big 300 unit apartment complexes, they're not going to have 100% occupancy. They're probably operating at 60 to 80, 85 maybe. So there's a lot of vacant units, and you can kind of gauge that just looking online. If you're like on Zillow or something, you just see like they have a ton of like 25 units available. Yeah, you're gonna want to fill those, and then locking in that long-term lease contract. I do 12 months to 24 months depending on the way it looks. But
gotcha.
So that initially opened up, just the opportunity to scale. Yeah, and I think I got 2 months rent free on that triplex I mentioned earlier. Wow. So I was cash flowing and I was not paying rent for 2 months straight. And I made them pay the utilities too. So
it's crazy what you can get just by asking.
Yeah, no, exactly. Like I was like, who in their right mind would ever, rent to me for 1 month rent free, 2 months rent free? Yeah. But you just got to know what you want. And I think this, it definitely shows you that.
So how do you know if a property is even open to you doing Airbnb? Is there a way to like, filter them out before approaching them? or is it just kind of like you figure out when you talk to them?
I mean, you kind of have to figure it out beforehand, kind of gauge them through email or like a phone call or something. The rogue approach, which I was doing for my first property, was just approaching everybody, but I got a ton of negative feedback from that.
Definitely.
Like the real estate agents or like the homeowners would be, touring the place. I would be touring the place with them, and then they'd be like, "You just wasted my time. Who told you to do this? Like, who's teaching you to do this? Because like you just wasted like 30 minutes of my time." And I was like, "Dang," it was kind of like I went through a lot of ups and downs emotionally, but right now, like, I think I'm pretty good at eliminating all emotion. And if I'm gonna go to a meeting and then they're gonna, obviously it doesn't go the way I anticipated, then it's fine, on to the next one.
Yeah.
So it's really what it is.
It is what it is.
Yes. Yeah.
But you're at 100% occupancy somehow right now.
Yeah. So
how do you explain that?
the way I explain it is I drop my rates 50%.
I see.
So I'm picking up right now. I know for a fact I'm operating at the lowest rate in Springfield, which is where the majority of these properties are.
Yeah, and I'm assuming Airbnb's pretty loose in Springfield compared to a city such as Los Angeles, New York, especially New York.
Oh, absolutely.
It's banned in New York. I believe.
Yeah. No. Well, through all of this, the scene is developing very quickly.
Yeah.
Just like the regulations and people trying to slow it down or stop it or just ban it completely.
Right.
So that is another thing that you're looking at. All business like protocols aside, you're looking at this whole thing from the government, which shouldn't happen in capitalism. I think capitalism should be cutthroat, and if you want to rise to the top, then go for it.
I agree.
And that's kind of what Airbnb did to the hotel industry. They rose, and then they grew far quicker than any hotel chain ever could because they leveraged the internet.
Yeah.
They turned everyday individual like me and you, like they turned us into hotel operators.
Yeah.
Just out of nowhere.
And you're not confined to the location of the hotels. Like you can actually go, because I was looking at Airbnbs since I'm thinking about going to Colorado soon.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I can get a hotel in Estes Park. I can't get a hotel like in the mountains, but I can get an Airbnb house.
There you go.
Deep in the woods.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. No, it's brilliant. I think the idea itself, it's just innovative, and it's just pushed through so many boundaries of, what you could achieve. So,
Right.
they're dealing with what they're dealing with right now. They're dealing with a lot of, backlash from, I don't know if you're aware of what's going down right now with Airbnb and like how they're treating the hosts and guests. And it's just kind of this whole ordeal.
Oh, they're flipping on them?
Yeah.
That's what happened with Uber when I was driving Uber. It's inevitable. What's happening?
Yeah. It's literally, it's structured like Uber is, like the platform is.
You're not, like how you guys obviously aren't considered employees or anything like that. So how are they screwing you over right now?
Well, they decided to give every guest 100% refund upon cancellation.
Yeah.
That, and that in itself is just, it increases the amount of risk that you're exposed to so much that people probably can't even handle it. Like, normally when a guest books, by accepting like the reservation, by making the reservation, they're like making an agreement. It's like a contract.
Right.
And in that agreement, you have your refund policy, and it's strict. Ours has always been strict. Yeah, like you're not getting a refund. Like you're blocking off the calendar for months ahead of time.
Well, do you give them do you ever do moderates for like if they book like 2 months in advance or something like that?
I mean, it's always been strict, and I think that's kind of how I know I'm locking in this money for this time. You know, like you're selling time when you're selling these nights.
Right.
And it's always been. I never thought that I would ever reach a point where all my bookings got canceled. This just hit everyone like a wave, and I know every Airbnb host got hit with the exact same thing.
What % of bookings got canceled?
100%. I was looking
100%.
at 0. Yeah, I had 0 bookings on all of my calendars, but I just I made this move to scale, and I was my rent expense right now is like $7,000 a month in rent alone, outside of utilities, outside of internet, whatever other expenses that you throw onto this. Like I was like, I have no money coming in, and I have $7,000 that has to leave my bank account.
How many bookings were canceled?
I'd say like 13 or 14.
100%.
Yeah.
With 100% refund.
Yeah, and then that right there is what I think a lot of hosts were upset about. Well, obviously, they were upset about it. And the CEO ended up coming out and saying that it was a mistake. So
really?
He even came back and apologized, but too late, the damage has been done. The trust barriers is no longer there, which in my opinion, people should be hosting on multiple platforms, regardless of.
Is that what you do?
Yeah. I'm on 5 different platforms.
Which ones?
So I'm on booking.com, HomeAway,
Oh.
Verbo, Turnkey. It's like TripAdvisor.
Yeah.
And and Craigslist as well. Craigslist, dude, it's crazy. And then there's another one right now, a Furnished Finder.
So where would you say your worst tenants come from?
Booking.com as of late.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I was expecting Craigslist for sure.
No, because we obviously screen them really well. And most people looking through Craigslist they're traveling professionals or something, trying to find a cheap place for like, people travel for work a lot. And I kind of I've seen that lately. Like they're traveling for 2 months at a time or 30 days at a time, just traveling for work. And we're there with a furnished apartment for them.
So what would you like? I think before the podcast, you were talking about how you have some bad experience. What was your first bad experience with a tenant?
My first bad experience, and unfortunately, like this is my reality now. Like, I'm making other people's problems my problems by giving them my place, right? Like that's kind of how this works.
Yeah.
The first one, and the hotel industry is dealing with this all the time. Like this is not just Airbnb hosts dealing with this. Like they're dealing with these, I guess, rogue operations. I think it was sex trafficking. Like that was,
oh, really?
Yeah, it was bad. So a guy booked the place, and the guest who showed up, they were just dropped off at the property, it was like a young woman. And I was like, okay, this is weird. Like she didn't have an ID, like she didn't have any money on her. It was just very like red flaggish, but I was leaving for Bali like the next day.
Wait, how'd you know she didn't have money on her?
Because they checked in like a day early or something. Like so they showed up to the property early, and like we're like, can you pay for this night somehow? And like she had no card, no ID, no cash. And
did she seem like all there, or was she like out of it?
She seemed. I mean, I don't want to be a judgmental person, but like she definitely? It was like red flag after red flag the way that it played out. Right. And the unfortunate part is that I literally left on a trip like right as that happened. So yeah, it was just unfortunate.
And what happened? Like how do you?
They they checked out. The place was a mess. Like they rearranged all the beds. Like they disassembled the beds and like put them in different rooms and
that's weird.
And they changed all the light bulbs to red light bulbs in the house. It was like the scariest thing. I was like, I flipped the switch on and it was all red. I was like, this is not normal. It's kind of getting like a weird vibe. So Jesus. That was my first bad experience. And then I want to say that like a lower price point does attract like a lower tier customer, like the Motel 6, like the type of person or whatever. Most of the time I don't know because I'm not in the properties, but my cleaners like lately have been sending me like all kind of paraphernalia and like crazy stuff with 50% reduced rates. You're bringing in that kind of person. So it's kind of what we're dealing with right now. It's crazy. We found a bag of meth. Like there was still like little crystals of meth in the bottom of the bag.
Damn.
We have pictures of all this stuff, just in case like they were to do damages and stuff. Like we, obviously have it to kind of report. But we found people smoking crack. Yeah. Like genuinely, I pulled up to the property because like they weren't leaving. It was like past 11. So checkout's at 11 with Airbnb, like, get out of the property. I show up because the cleaner like let us know that they weren't leaving. Like there was just a ton of people there. So I pull up and like these people booked it like rats. Like they're just like in every direction, like 3 or 4 cars just dipped. Wow. And there was like, they left someone there. They left like a woman there who was like running around panicking, like, because my cleaner like had like made her like put the crack pipe on the like the countertop so he could take a picture of it. He's like, like you're not, they're trying to hide it. Yeah. Yeah, it's just crazy. And then
what kind of review did you write for them?
I did not write the review.
You should.
I did not write the review. I mean, you know what? That's unfortunate because like if I were not to have known that they were there, like, I don't know what they're doing in there. I'm always going to assume they're doing like Bible study or like something good, right? Of course. I'm not going to just assume the worst about every human. Crazy thing about these people is like I have my neighbor at that property that they were at. Yeah. I went and talked to him that day because it just looked like crazy. He's like, yeah, I was going to call you if you weren't going to pull up. Like eventually this just looks like insane. He's a really chill dude. But that same night that they left, someone else had rebooked the property with like a different profile. Like there's like a guy from Arkansas with a kid. Like everything seemed normal. And he's like, are these people supposed to be back here? Like it was the same people they booked it that night again. Oh my gosh. I was like, no, they're not. But we have a new booking, and it seemed like that was So
they didn't book it. Someone else booked it, and they still showed up.
Yeah, it was one of the people in the entourage. I mean, there's a couple of adults with vehicles and stuff that were just. I don't know what this quarantine got people acting out of pocket, bro.
So this was recently.
This was recent, like last week.
Oh, that whole crack thing happened last week?
Yeah. Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah. So I mean, at the end of the day, like I'm paying off my expenses, but at what cost? I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, the property wasn't in any like bad condition. Like they're not like messing the walls up and stuff. It's just.
Have you ever had that happen? Like
No.
no one's throwing like a party or anything?
Yeah. I mean, I'd say even if people throw parties, like we've never experienced like property damage. The
That's
worst.
good.
I mean, the craziest thing that I've kind of seen like just damaging our stuff is like someone brought candles onto white comforters. Like they had like candle wax everywhere, and like there's burnt holes in the comforter and stuff. They're probably doing some kinky stuff.
Yeah,
with
yeah,
the candles. So that and I'll say this right now:
Man.
Airbnb doesn't compensate you for any of this stuff. Like they're not going to help you get your money back. Like we have pictures, we have everything required to get like reimbursed. You know, like they have that protection policy in place, but they've never come through with that ever.
Wait, so if someone damages something at Airbnb, nothing happens?
Yeah, I mean, that's the unfortunate thing about this. They kind of leave everyone, you know, every man for themselves.
So it's up to you to like sue them.
Yeah, I mean, if I want to, you know, most of the expenses that we have to go through, like replacing sheets, replacing like comforters, like they're not major. It's like $40 for a comforter.
Yeah.
On Amazon, obviously they're like $80 in store, but we just deal with it and kind of eat the costs. But it's just one of those things that you never think about when you're going to do this. You like
No.
you expect just like top tier people coming through your property. You're giving them a place to sleep. Like, you know, you never think about the negative, and that's kind of the reality of it.
So most of your bad experiences are coming from when you dropped it 50%.
Yeah, yeah. Obviously, if you're operating at premium rates, you're not going to have these people like coming through.
Right.
At the end of the day, I think hotels deal with this like 10 times over. So that is what it is. I mean, we're in the hospitality space now. That's what Airbnb is in this sense. So
It is what it is.
yeah, it's crazy. I don't know if you're aware of how much money's in hospitality. I don't know if you've ever thought about what a hotel chain brings in.
I see the Hilton family, and I can assume.
Yeah, so I was kind of just doing some research, and the hotel industry in the United States brings in $570 billion a year.
Jesus.
Just think that's just like,
And what's Airbnb bringing in? Like, what'd they bring in 2019? Do you know?
I don't know. They're a software, so I don't know their exact numbers. They're obviously not like the accommodation provider. They're just literally a website. Like that's all Airbnb is. They're just
Right.
like a software. I'm sure the numbers are through the roof.
Couple billion,
Yeah,
probably.
yeah. I mean, they were worth 31 billion prior to COVID. So
Yeah.
that's just, it's mind blowing stuff.
What are they worth now? They're not traded publicly, are
No,
they?
they're privately. It's just like a private equity thing. So they're worth 18 billion now. I don't know how like their valuation dropped. Probably investors pulling money out and stuff. I'm not sure how that works.
Yeah. Because I know privatized companies are traded way differently or valued way differently than public. Public.
Yeah.
I don't have any faith in the stock market anymore.
No.
Fuck it all.
No, what happened with the stock market just recently is just, it's crazy.
It's stupid.
People are losing hundreds of thousands on their 401ks and other investments. So
Yeah, that's the way I've been looking at things because, you know, for the past 2 months, I saw the dip. We were just talking about this. I saw it happen. It was right in front of me. I didn't do anything, and I've been beating myself up for not doing it.
yeah.
I did get on Facebook at 153, so I put 10K in
There you
there.
go.
So that's a W in my book. But the way I see it is like I can either look at it as I missed out on making this much money, which say I put 100,000 in, which I had like 130,000 into it, which I was gonna plan on investing. Say I triple that, that's still 300 or 400,000. I could be down about that, or I could focus on how can I make that in a day.
Exactly.
You know,
There you go.
if I start making that per month, that's not really gonna matter. I'm not gonna be thinking, I could have made that.
Yeah.
You know, so that's the way I've been looking at perspective is everything.
Yeah, absolutely. No, and I love that. You know, traveling has definitely given me like a new perspective on life,
Especially
just in
where you
general.
traveled to.
Yeah,
you're not just going up to Wisconsin.
No, I went crazy. So I did 11 countries in 1 year.
Which ones?
Okay, let's start. Went to China, then went to
Pre-COVID
Indonesia.
for sure.
Yeah, pre-COVID, yeah. And then went to Costa Rica, Panama, Europe. We hit Europe. We went to Italy, Amsterdam, France, Ireland, and then England.
I don't think you said Bali yet.
Yeah, Indonesia. So like Bali, Indonesia.
Oh, I didn't even know that. So Bali and Thailand is
and then
all in Indonesia.
Australia, yeah. Yeah. No, Thailand is its own country.
Okay.
Like Indonesia, it's a country, and then Thailand's a country.
I'm so bad at
It's just a bunch
geography.
of islands over there, man. It's crazy. Like the way they live life is so they're so happy.
Yeah.
They're living with like dirt floors and stuff, but everyone's smiling. Like everyone has like, it's just crazy how you come to America and then people are just so caught up about money, about the rat race.
Rush.
You know?
Rush. I hear in Costa Rica, you go to like a restaurant and your food will take like an hour and a half to get, because it's like no one's in a hurry.
Yeah, no one's in a hurry. They open up shop like at 11 a.m. Like no one's ready to get to grinding every morning like how it is here. Like I remember I was working at the warehouse like up at 4 a.m. every day.
Yeah.
For like 2 years. It was just like that was a grind.
What time do you wake up now?
11.
Whenever you want. Yeah.
Whenever I want. Yeah, I mean it's been bad with I've just been kind of taking a step back and then managing my income streams, my businesses right now. But like depending on what I want to get done in the day, I'll wake up whenever I want. I don't have an alarm.
Yeah.
That feeling is so amazing. Of just waking up, no one telling you where to be or like how to live life. It's just, it's powerful.
And if you want to take the day off, just take the day off.
Yeah, I feel like everyone's been taking a lot of time off right now with with this whole quarantine.
That's why so many people are going crazy.
Yeah.
You see how like I got to stay off Facebook. Got it, because like the older generations on Facebook, I've been in those comments and I'm like, oh my, I don't really usually respond to people comments, but I'm so out of character. Yeah. I've stopped now, but I was like, like there's just so many stupid comments out there.
Conspiracy, or like what? In what sense?
All sorts of sense. Like we should never shut down the country, or like I don't know. There's a whole thing, and like I think the moment things got terrible or a terrible outlook was when it became politicized. Like I remember it went from like we're all in this together to now somehow this political party believes this and this political party believes this, and then the leaders of these political parties are telling the people who identify in that political party that you got to believe this way. So now all these people are fighting each other.
It's crazy what politics can do, man. Like it's just like your belief system at the end of the day. It has so much rule over people's lives. Yeah. And kind of for me, the way I like to look at it is like I like to live a free life, just forever free. It's kind of like the way I like to live. In the sense that I don't get caught up with that. Like I voted for Trump. I don't know if that's a big deal or not, but like I'm from Missouri. Like I just feel like it was just the right thing to do. Like I was driving up from Springfield to St. Louis, and there's like billboards everywhere. Like this is Trump County and like stuff like that. Like a lot of Trump supporters here. I mean,
if you look at the stock market, thank God he was president.
No, I just did it. I was like, look, he's a billionaire. He's made a lot of money. He's made a lot of good financial decisions. At one point, someone was like, you can't look at his success and think that he's self-made because he turned $1 million. He had like $1 million to start off with. I was like, if you had $1 million, you could not turn that into $1 billion. Like, I know for a fact.
I see people tell me all the time. He's like, oh, he had daddy's money from the beginning.
Yeah, but taking $1 million into account, like the average human would go through that in 1 year and they'd be broke. They'd be sitting there looking at like their thumbs, like twirling them, like.
And so many people who hate him are like, oh, he's a failed businessman. He's only had a few businesses that worked. He had 76 businesses that failed, coming from people who never started a business, who doesn't understand.
It's hard, yeah.
I remember when that guy at the restaurant was yelling at me, he was like, go back to school. And then there's this one guy, Joe, who always supported me. He's like, don't listen to that guy. You really want to be like him? He's like 45, still working here. Yeah. He's like, listen, look at what Tony did. Tony's the guy who owns the Napoli chain. He goes, all you got to do is start one business a year for 10 years. And all it takes is one business to completely cover everything.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so the fact that he had, I don't know, like he had a good amount. He had the TV show. He had obviously the real estate development. Trump Steaks didn't do too well. Trump University, that's debatable.
He's in the hotel industry too. He's dabbling in that. Yeah, Trump Hotel.
In, hotel industry. Yeah. What else does he? He does a lot. He's the president now.
I think that. I mean, it's cool to look that, like, that's the opportunity that America provides everyone. Yeah. And I love being from America. Like, obviously, like, my ethnicity is not American, but, like, this country and even traveling the world, like, to see how other people live, it's just, there's so much opportunity here and people waste it. Yeah. People live an entire life just going 9 to 5, like, going through the motions, and then they're on their deathbed, like, what did I do with my life?
And filled with a lot of hate.
Yeah.
Like,
negativity,
some of those people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But I would say I think Donald Trump represents America in the fullest because, well, not necessarily he's not rags to riches, so not that part, but the fact that not he started with this money, but then he built it into this amount, and then he started becoming launched, and then all of a sudden he's this TV star, and then all of a sudden he's the president.
Yeah, it's crazy.
What other country is that even possible?
Yeah, no, I just love capitalism. I love how it just puts opportunity out there. Like anyone with a good idea
Right.
can just play on that idea and then just grow it to be whatever they want it to be.
And I always notice the people who are most against capitalism are usually the ones who are afraid of taking any risk at all.
Yeah. No. In order to live a fulfilling life, you have to take risk consistently over and over again. I mean, that's something that I learned right away with the stock market. Like I was 18, I remember one day I was like overextended with a margin account. Like I'd had like a broker like give me margin. So I was trading with money that wasn't even mine.
Right.
I lost like $4,700 in a couple of seconds from a click of a button. And then I was like, yep, that was 6 months worth of my savings gone.
Yeah.
And like they closed my account and everything. So like I dealt with that at a very early age. I mean, relatively early. I know the generation that comes after ours, like, you know, they probably have more exposure to this stuff, but
I'm very worried for the generation that's coming after
TikTokers.
ours. The TikTokers.
Their attention span is like 3 seconds.
That's the issue with TikTok. It reduces your attention.
Yeah.
And then my biggest thing with it is there's very few people who come with an original idea.
Mm-hmm.
And those who do, the mass of people get rewarded for copying their original idea. That's how a lot of these people have a following on TikTok, because all they do is just do this dance the same way as this person did. There's no creativity. So you see a lot of these people, 1 million followers on TikTok, they can only get 6,000 followers on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because I mean, do you think they're messing with the algorithm? Like, it's sketchy how the Chinese government owns all that data.
Yeah. You know, they could. I mean, it's a Chinese-owned company, so I don't know. Like, do you think the Chinese are messing with the algorithm, like making certain people like pop off?
I think they might be faking the views. I think they might be faking the views for sure.
They could. Oh yeah, like the 100 million views, like a billion views. Yeah, I remember I was on TikTok like when I first heard of it, because like I'd seen kind of like the musically influencers pop up, and I was like, dang, this could be a wave. Obviously, it's not who I am and my identity, you know, by any means. I'm not gonna sit there dancing in front of a camera, but like I was like, let's see what this does. And like I got 1 million views on a video within like a week.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is crazy, because I was making YouTube content back then too.
Yeah.
I was getting like a couple hundred views. I was like, this is literally insane. Like how did I get 1 million views? But then like I never thought about that perspective of like the algorithm being manipulated.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Like I don't know, I think it sets kids up for expectations that life will never fulfill outside of that one app. Like I'll always say, I saw this one girl, 500,000 views in like 3 days, and all she did was it was a 10-second TikTok. The first 5 seconds was her walking, saying me walking to the fridge for the 5th time today, and then the last 5 seconds was her opening the fridge. 500,000, and she probably thinks like
that's life.
No, she probably thinks like, oh, like people love my creative idea here. Walk into the fridge for the 5th time. Look at me. But really, it was like because she was in like workout shirt, like huge ass. All that.
Yeah. No, that's all TikTok is.
Yeah.
I feel like the thing that worries me is like this generation that comes after us, like they start their day with like getting on TikTok, scrolling through it.
Yeah.
So you're starting your day off like being distracted and like just being ditzy, like being all over the place.
Yeah. And they're exposed to so much poison.
Yeah.
So much poison.
Yeah.
Like like people, it's weird how Lil Pump's fan base is mostly probably 12 to 18-year-olds. Logan, like all these vloggers, like Logan Paul, his fan base, I believe, is about 12 to 15 mainly. But if you look at his vlogs, it's like the Lena Rhodes, the porn star, and all this. It's like they're being exposed to a lot of things, especially in the music, the mainstream music.
It's toxic. I
listened to radio for the first time yesterday. Almost every other word's bleeped out. So no one's listening to radio. So these kids are like going on TikTok and like listening to Meg Thee Stallion when they're 9.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Oh my God. Can you imagine your 9-year-old daughter looking up to Meg Thee Stallion and dancing to those songs in like the sexual way that they do?
Yeah. You know, I'm so grateful that I was raised without an iPhone when I was like in that vital stage of like developing and kind of just like the, you know, preteen.
Yeah.
And, like I had my first cell phone when I was like 18, like my first smartphone. So I caught onto the wave late, but like, yeah, it's interesting to see what's going to happen. That's the future of our country right there. So
and then so I want to get your opinion on this. So when you do have kids, are you having kids one day?
Yes, of course. One day.
When do you think they're going to get the cell phone? Because before you answer that question, here's the perspective I look at it as. So say everybody's giving their kids cell phones in the 2nd grade.
Mm-hmm.
And you think maybe that's a little too early. Like I would think that's too early to give a kid a cell phone.
Yeah.
But to not give them the cell phone, then they're left out of the loop of their entire classmates.
Yeah. I know that feeling.
But to give them a cell phone, you're desensitizing them because as much as you want, you can't just censor their internet. They can find a way. TikTok, you can't censor it per TikTok,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. That's a good question. I think that I'll make that decision when I'm in that position. You know, like thinking on it right now, like obviously I want my kids to be successful and like just do the best that they can in life. And depending on where we're at with technology and information, when that time comes, and society as a whole, I think right now there's so much uncertainty with the future of what's going to happen.
Yeah.
That it's just, I was that kid who was left out. I grew up without a TV in my house. My parents are very conservative, like anti-technology.
You never had a TV?
No, not
Damn,
a TV.
I thought I was left out for not having cable in my life.
Yeah, no, I was sitting in class, like, kids were talking about Netflix or like TV shows, and I was just like, what do I say? Like, I don't fit in here. Like, I would lie about having a TV because I didn't have one. I couldn't relate,
Yeah.
So I grew up with that, that feeling of like being left out. But I don't think I ended up in a bad place because of it. Like
probably in a better place.
Yeah, in a much better place. Because like my head was clear. Like I was living a good life. Like my childhood, I was running around the woods, like just jumping out of trees, whatever kids should be doing, not being stuck on a screen all day.
Yeah.
So
and that's another poisonous topic right there. Just the game, like especially VR. A lot of people are gonna start getting into VR.
I think the way I see this, and this might sound like way out there, but I think we're reaching a point in time with information where there's going to be an event that happens that is going to ripple into forever of how the future develops.
Probably,
and I'm saying
we're probably seeing it right now.
I'm saying that right now, and that's it's crazy. This may seem like it might be too early to say this, but like I think like humans are eventually going to like need to merge with AI, like merge with technology. We kind of already are with our iPhones. Like it's an extension of who we are.
Right.
Like our identity is online. Like that's and. I make money through the internet. So me stepping back and choosing to not take part like this whole technological revolution, that'll kind of set me back with like my progression, what I want to achieve in life. So is like too much internet, too much AI, too much like technology. Is that bad for humanity? Is it good for humanity?
Right.
And that's, I think it's crazy. I think what's happening right now, like the NASDAQ is an electronically traded stock exchange, right? So NASDAQ is just like a bunch of high frequency trading computers trading in a room. There's no humans, and it's up while the unemployment rates are through the roof. Like they're the highest they've ever been in history, and the NASDAQ is trading positive for the year. So that just shows you like that gap that humans, non-essential humans, essential humans. I don't know what it is. Like robots are taking over. Like AI is just like it's at that point. I think we're going to see that in our lifetimes.
Definitely. Someone described it as we're addicted to progression in technology. And we don't know why, but we're just addicted to always the new thing. Like they've been saying that. They said it's comparable to the way bees just naturally pollinate it's the same way as like mushrooms grow in certain ways so that they can do certain things to the species around them. It's like it could be our purpose. And then I had this thought the other day. It's like it's weird how we got to talk like this, and if I go to Romania, I couldn't communicate with those people, right? Different language. But the fact that we even have to not only speak to each other to communicate, but we got to know each other's languages, when I bet the same animals here in America try to communicate with the same animals in Europe, they can communicate fine, and they don't even need to speak to each other. A universal language that doesn't even need to be spoken. So as technological as we get, as advanced as we get, we still got to speak. So maybe we're the aliens. So why? Because we're so advanced, but we're the only species on the planet that actually has to speak to each other.
Yeah, that's a big rabbit hole to jump into.
Definitely.
Yeah. I don't know. I think that's the thing. I'm fine with not knowing. Like I'm not going to sit there. I'm not going to lose sleep at night by just trying to figure out the answers, because that's how I live life, just like going with the flow. Like, I think our actions, our conscious actions, that's what our future is going to be.
Right.
Like what we're doing in this moment right now. That's all we have. We don't have the past. We don't have the future. We just have right now.
Right.
And I think knowing that and living life that way, you just have this sense of peace.
Very true.
Yeah. And that's how I've been living, and it's like the outcome of that, like the results are outstanding. just making the most out of every day, being positive. I think positive energy is so powerful. And I know like you did the thing with like the street lights.
Yeah.
Like what do you call that?
Slider.
Yeah. So, I definitely know that we're living like in an electromagnetic field, like the internet and like just the way that I guess energy works. It's just like this concept I've never really thought about, but just having positive energy every single day, like positive attitude, positive outlook on life is going to continue to take you down that path.
Yeah.
So that's something that I kind of figured that out. And I mean, things that I've always wanted to happen have happened.
Right.
I guess like everything that I ever wanted has already happened. It's already like unfolded. So it's
Same.
powerful.
It's weird. It's like whatever you think gives power to it.
Mm-hmm. Like the power of thought. Like the way that I think of thought is like, in order to produce something like a tangible object, you need to think of it first. Like it has to come from the mind. Like my Airbnb business, like I had to think the idea of it before I actually got some like, some leases signed or like set it up online. So the way you use your mind in a day is just so powerful. And I think the way that society is set up right now, people are just they're not thinking at all. They're just unconscious. They're just going through the motions. They're getting drunk. They're, whatever. I mean, addiction. Things that keep you distracted from the true power that is within everyone's self.
Yeah.
So
now there's a global awakening happening. For
yeah,
sure.
that's kind of what I've seen too. Everyone's saying there's a global awakening. Like
it's because
healing.
The poles are shifting. Like you know how North Pole's in Canada now. Do you see that?
I think I've heard about it a little bit.
It's shifting. It happens every 13,000 years, but it's getting quicker and quicker. And the last time it happened, they said it happened 13,000 years ago during the Egyptian times.
Wow.
So that's why they're so advanced. They theorized that the pyramids were actually the power plants.
Yeah.
And then the poles shifted, and they said something about this was just so. This information was found in 18,000 tablets dug beneath some like part of Egypt that they found.
It's crazy. I'm so intrigued by the ancient civilizations.
Yeah, you should.
I definitely think whatever they're telling us about ancient civilizations is so inaccurate.
It's definitely inaccurate.
Yeah.
And just look at these tablets, because some people say, "Oh, that's just their storytelling," but it literally tells the entire history of the earth, and it was written by the Egyptian ruler, I think Ra.
Yeah, I've dove deep into all that. I just think that it makes no sense, and then that kind of brings me to question like what they're teaching us in school. They're teaching us all this information, but a lot of it seems like it's not adding up.
Right.
And then it goes to the point of like, I don't know. That's kind of why I'm glad I didn't choose to stay in school. Like anyone, and this may just bring me a lot of backlash, but anyone who's in school right now, they're very like distracted. They're very lost.
Yeah.
And they don't have a sense of purpose whatsoever.
Well, I guess unless they're like unless they like feel like they're put on this earth to be a doctor.
Yeah. I feel like for the most part, people are doctors because they're told to be doctors by their parents. Yeah.
Very true.
That's such a stressful line of work. Like whatever you're doing, it's just like, I think most of the time we do what we do because of other people's opinions and thoughts.
Yeah.
And learning how to like separate yourself from that is the way to live truly fulfilled.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I'm learning that right now.
Absolutely.
I was just telling you about this. I was actually, I didn't even tell you. So that song I released, the Gato, it was weird. I was talking on this on live, actually. Something that's always blown my mind is like, if someone wants to play guitar, no one's like, oh, he's trying to be a guitarist. Look at him trying to be that. Or if someone's trying to be play a violin, oh, look at him trying to be the violin. But it's whenever the voice comes, because the voice is an instrument we all have. So when you use your voice, I feel like most people, when they hear a dope song, they want to be like that. They're attracted to that. But then the insecurity comes, the doubt comes, and everything. And so what really blew my mind was I only got, I think, 4 hate messages, but there was this one guy who created a whole new Instagram account, 0 followers, 0 following, and sent me like 4 paragraphs of how big of a douchebag I am. How because I put up a recent song. I was like, nah, I'm not gonna use that one. I'm just gonna do this next one. And he was like, yeah, you better take that down, fucker. I can't believe you're trying to do this fucking shit.
Yeah.
And it reminds me, have you seen 8 Mile?
No, I have not watched the movie.
There's a part in that where he's dissing this one guy who's rapping and dissing this one lady, and he's like, something dated. You sound like a pissed off rapper that never made it. And it's true. It's like so many people. I saw the same thing with dropshipping in the comments when I was running the Facebook ads, and even in my own life, I remember. So how. So I've actually never even said this on tape, so I'll say this right now. So you know how my most viral video was day in the life of pro dropshipper?
Yeah.
So what most people don't realize is that video I think was 22 minutes long, and I cut out 7 minutes of it because in 7 minutes of it, I spent 7 minutes throughout the video just dissing this one kid.
You told me about that. Yeah.
Oh, I did tell you about
you told
this.
me about that. Yeah, first time we chilled. Yeah.
Yeah. So for the people listening, there's this one kid who born into a super rich family. His dad started the business. He knew his whole life he was going to get the business. He always was a dick to everybody. And so when I started drop shipping, I did 25,000 the first. So it was when I did 25,000 the second month on that iPhone case. That's when he started talking shit. He's like, "Well, what's your overhead?" I go, "What do you mean? I don't have any." And he's like, "No, you fucking do. What's your overhead?" I go, "Drop shipping, you don't really have any overhead." What? I mean, I pay $29 a month for the Shopify subscription. Yeah. And he's like, "No, like, just tell me what's your overhead." And then we got in this huge argument. And it's just like, it's so funny because I think deep down inside, he doesn't want to be running his dad's sanitation business.
Why would you?
Or something like that.
It's not his idea.
That's why in, I forget what phenomenon they're calling it, but in San Francisco, they're having a real problem with these kids being born to massively wealthy families and just killing themselves. It's unfortunate because it's like, I try to put my mind in their mind, and it's like, okay, you're born into wealth. It's so normal to you. And Dan Bilzerian described it as like, once you start going up, it's hard to go back down. And I'm seeing that right now. That's why I'm fucking upgrading the whip. Fuck the Camry. But he's like, when I graduated high school and I got a Mustang, 10 out of 10 happiness. But now since I own the LaFerrari, the Bugatti, I get in a Mustang, I'm like 4 out of 10. And if I get in a Nissan, I'm like, why the fuck am I even in this car? So it kind of like your standards, eventually you can never hit that 10 ever. Like you can only go up so much. And so when you're born into a 10, anything but like below that, even like mentality, especially the fact that you know what you're going to do with your life, you have no struggles, and that's the worst thing I think about being born to a wealthy family. If you do anything that is like you accomplish anything, everybody's always going to have that thought, and some people are going to say, "Oh, well, your dad did this." It's like Trump, turned a million to a billions. Yeah, but you got the million. It's all. I see that a lot, and even I think Elon Musk is the only guy who like got away with that, really, because Elon Musk was born in a super wealthy family. Most people don't realize that in South Africa, and but I mean, he obviously proved himself with 4 massively successful companies.
That's crazy. I definitely look up to him as a role model, like for a lot of like his ideas and just like how he pushes creativity. And I think if you choose to follow like you were saying about that kid, like if you choose to follow what your parents did, like and then follow their footsteps, it's not necessarily bad. But it's not teaching you how to think for yourself. And I guess detaching yourself from material things too. Like me right now, bro, like I'm not gonna lie, like before COVID, like I was in Kansas City, just trying to get units there, right? And I would have had 25 by now. Like undoubtedly I had them all lined up and kind of just left everything just on pause. But I moved out and all I had to my name was a backpack and a duffel bag. Like simple black outfits. That's it. I got rid of everything. I took like 7 55-gallon trash bags, put up everything that I thought I needed in my life. I just loaded it up and just gave it to Goodwill.
Wait, like 2 months ago?
Yeah, like like I was like, look, like for this next chapter of my life, I'm gonna need just to be able to move very quickly from city to city, setting up units, whatever it may be. Just kind of hustling, building the business.
Before COVID or after?
Yeah. Okay. And like. Right now, I've never been happier, and I have like nothing. I don't own like my technology, like my camera equipment, and then a duffel bag and a backpack. Like that's it.
And a sick ass whip.
Yeah, and then the range. I gotta have the range. That's what I was thinking. I was like, this is all I need. Like, and that Range Rover for me is just a product of obviously my work and like my discipline. But it's also like a tax write-off at the end of the day. Like I need that for work. I was gonna buy it with one of my LLCs, but I didn't have enough credit in the LLC. I didn't have enough like financial. History to buy it, but the accountant, like we're cool. She's gonna write it off as like a business expense.
Are you LLC S corp or LLC?
So I'm actually incorporated. I have a C corporation.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah. So straight up America right there. Like build your way up.
So are you considered the employee then?
No. I'm just the owner.
Okay.
So I have multiple entities structured like. It's so easy, like just setting up a business, but like the actual success of that business starts with the idea. So right now, obviously, I have LLCs in place for my online income streams, my core sales, and then YouTube ad revenue. I have a structure for that, and then I have my Airbnb like business through an LLC and also the C corporation. So,
Oh, wow.
yeah,
Wait, so what's the C corporation for?
it's kind of like the personal brand for like the business model. So
Gotcha.
in a sense, like my long-term vision with this is to be known as a Hilton. And that's why, like, I know that me to achieve that goal would be living my life to its fullest potential. Like that is the highest tier of like what I could set as a milestone, as a goal.
Yeah.
Just being known as like a household name for hospitality. And that shift is happening right now. Hotels have just, they've failed to adapt. And it's been 30 years since they've changed anything. Like they've been kind of going with the flow. Like everything's going good. We're making billions of dollars. And all of a sudden Airbnb pops up and they're like, what is this? They tried to lobby against it. They lobbied like billions of dollars to like try to shut it down.
Yeah.
But they can't. I mean, just you can't stop the internet. That's the thing. I mean, this new generation, like obviously you use Airbnb a lot for your Airbnb endeavors, but it's such a great experience. And I don't think I'll ever, like if I have the choice to choose between a hotel and an Airbnb, I'll choose the Airbnb.
Always.
Most of the time it'll be like lower cost. It'll be just like your own private space. And, I'm going to play on that idea. I had someone in a comment recently say that it's not a business if you're depending on somebody else's business. I was kind of thinking, I was like, that's not at all true. Like, if that's how you think, then you're not going to ever, build anything great. Like the way that I'm using Airbnb is kind of building off of this great idea. I can't recreate it, so I'm going to leverage it in the sense like, there's people like selling on Amazon, there's people using Shopify, like to run up e-commerce stores. So it's just like the same thing. And it's just it's its own ecosystem in hospitality, which is this multi-billion dollar industry like per year. So the growth potential is limitless. I mean, all I need is a piece of the pie,
Right.
That's all I need. I don't need $500 billion.
Yeah.
I'll leave that for whoever else wants to come in and grab it.
They say that's the number one rule of Shark Tank. If you ever go on Shark Tank, don't mention that. They always say, like I remember I saw Mark Cuban even back out of a deal right when someone said that. They go, the baby market is 121 billion a year. If we only take, and then he's like, I'm out.
Yeah.
Right. Because I don't know. That's like watch out for that on Shark Tank.
I will. I don't ever plan on, I guess, giving away equity. Like,
You never
this
know.
is such a good idea, though. I think this idea is, there's another influencer in the space who is self-funded. His operation is like 100 units.
Wow.
And he's been able to scale that up just through his own like profits. It's just crazy.
Are you in communication with him at all?
Yeah, we're cool. We spoke at a keynote event together.
Oh, really?
It's really crazy because like, when I started YouTube, he was already on the scene with like, I think 15,000, like 20,000 subscribers, and he's now at 100,000. He's kind of grown a lot since I got on. But, I spent a lot of time just paying attention and observing his operation, because it's kind of like what I want to emulate in that sense of like how big it is. And like, you have to have certain systems in place. Like everything has to be set up the right way. And we ended up getting invited to speak at his keynote event. And it was just cool. Like we chilled.
Where at?
In Chicago.
Nice.
Yeah, it was sold out event. There's a lot of people there. Some of my subscribers, mostly his. It's like I don't have that much influence, but we went to Tao afterwards, and just like it was a great experience. Yeah.
What'd you get at Tao?
Sushi, and then some Japanese whiskey.
Have you ever had their orange chicken?
No.
Oh my gosh, best orange chicken in the world.
Yeah.
Well, maybe not the world.
I don't know. We had a lot. Like everyone was kind of just chilling. It was a good vibe there. It was really crazy. I mean, just like that level of, I guess, social life, I don't really partake in it. I'm from Missouri.
Right.
But, like we don't have that kind of like high like social status type stuff.
That's why it blew my mind the first time I went to Miami and linked up with like Noah and Sebas and all them. I'm like, not only can I actually talk about like specific details that comes with the drop shipping business, but it's just like a weird thing staying in Missouri, working my ass off with the drop shipping, and nobody's doing it with me. Isolation. Boom. Now, suddenly, most of my friends are in drop shipping now.
Yeah, it's cool. I mean, right now through COVID, like I know like he's taking a hit with his leases. He's dealing with like legal troubles, and also dealing with like the government like banning short-term rentals.
Do you know what kind of hit he took?
He made a video recently saying he lost $55,000 in the month of April. So,
oh my gosh,
$55,000 loss on the P&L, and I turned a profit. So, I think that my location has a lot to do with that.
That's why you should listen to Robert here instead of him.
No.
Listen to the one who made a profit.
Yeah, I mean, I could share all my numbers. Like, I think I'll get to that in the future. It's just right now, I'm just observing it, because right now I know a lot of companies are just taking a massive hit. Like they're like Chapter 11's right around the corner for a lot of big U.S. corporations.
And what's I hate to say it this way, but it's ironic which companies are getting taken. It's like the companies that already basically had it coming, but took an event like, for example, oil.
Mm-hmm.
Oil's long overdue to be transitioned to electric and solar and all that. Boom, they're taking a massive hit. Retail is already so far gone into the terms of comparable to e-commerce.
Yeah.
Boom, now
Can't
retail's
compete.
taking a hit.
Yeah.
Like, I can't even think of anything else really that's really taken.
I know Hertz Car Rental, they're like on the verge of bankruptcy. They hired a bankruptcy like attorney or like a consultant. So looking at these massive U.S. companies, which have been around for like a long time. I mean, JCPenney just filed for bankruptcy.
Right.
It's just like, I guess that just shows, you know, you got to adapt and innovate even if you've been around for 100 years. Like you just got to continue progressing. And it's just right now, I think a lot of opportunities being created in this time. And I know you were saying like on one of your recent podcasts, you're saying like, make the most out of this time that you have in quarantine. Like don't be wasting it. And that cannot be that's so true. Just be productive with what you're doing. Yeah. Because what's happening right now is just giving so many people this wake up call. It's like what really matters in life.
Definitely. Mm-hmm. And that for sure. I covered that in that podcast you're referring to too. Yeah. Really makes you realize what, like Joey Diaz says, there's nothing better than realizing what you don't need.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, like I said, bro, I just got rid of everything I had. And it's crazy because think about owning something. Like you paid for it, like it's yours. You saw value in it in the store or whatever, like the item, whatever, it served its purpose. And then you're like, I can't let go of that. Like I'll use that eventually. Right. What I did, I went through everything that I didn't use for, I think, a week. If I didn't use it in 7 days, if I didn't touch it in 7 days, I just tossed it. And I went through like 55-gallon like construction grade trash bag, just full of valuable things. I think like the Goodwill like wrote me like $2,000 in like donations, so I could just like write it as a tax write off. But it feels good. It just feels good just getting rid of that.
I'm about to do the same thing. I got, in terms of like clothing and jewelry, I probably got like $25,000-$30,000. Fucking what a waste of money. And that's after selling like 20,000 worth.
Yeah. So hey, you got to live and learn, you know?
Yeah, I never had it growing up. Now I know what it feels like. Now I know it's
it feels the same. You know, it feels exactly the same.
Well, no, I wouldn't say the material's a little better.
Yeah, the stitching quality is a little bit better.
Yeah, like I remember I got this when I saw Floyd Mayweather wear it. Do you ever see that picture of Floyd?
I saw you posted that picture. It was crazy.
Yeah, that's exactly when I bought it. But it's just mostly a waste of money for sure. Because what's really wild to me is right before this quarantine happened, I was thinking about buying, you know, like an iced out AP. Oh, yeah. It was like $35,000, $30,000. And I thought about it, I'm like, you know, what's really ironic is like an Apple Watch is $300 and this is $30,000. So for 100 times more you pay for a watch that does not even a small percentage of what this watch does. Not even a small percentage, like maybe 0.1% accounts for the time telling. Doesn't do 99.9% of what the Apple Watch
I can even
does.
read it with all the diamonds.
You can't even read it. Yeah, it's too shiny.
Yeah, there's like obviously in society, I feel like if you reach that point, you buy that when it means nothing to you. Like when 30 grand is just like a drop in the bucket, like dropping a penny, like that's when you buy an nice AP. At least in my opinion, right? Like on the come up, obviously with being an influencer and stuff, it helps having the flashy items. Right. If you're using for marketing purposes or whatever it is, you know, I totally get it. But you know, I personally, I'm not attached to that. Like that's not what drives me. Yeah. You know
what Luca does actually is he kind of like your boy PJ. He's you know, he hacks watches too. But what Luca actually does is say he has like 3 or 4, I think. And all he does is, you know, he opened up an LLC, bought them all under the LLC. He put them up on the website. They're for sale, but you better believe he's wearing them. 100% write off, 100% write off, 100%
no, it's crazy.
100% write off.
And knowing that type of stuff and capitalism, just knowing that, like the loopholes, is how you win.
It changes everything.
Yeah, absolutely. Like buying an exotic car, you know, you buy it under market value and then you sell it for a profit. Exactly. You know, people will never look at that as something that is achievable. But if you don't know unless you ask, right? Like, there you go.
Like I didn't even negotiate on my car.
Yeah. You got to negotiate, bro. Even if it's just like a couple, even if it's a nominal, like, you know, price reduction. I've learned that from my wife, actually. She's just like traveling with her, going to places. Like she'll always just like, if something's not going right with like the currency or the transaction, like I'll just take it for free. Like, you know, give me a discount or something. Like she's always so good at just negotiate. And I always feel so uncomfortable because I'm like, you can't ask him for like a discount. Like he set the price. But then again, like in Bali, everything's negotiable. Yeah, like you go there and you don't pay full price for anything.
Yeah.
But then again, you understand like what you're buying or like what you're giving them in the sense of what they earn on a daily like basis. Like the average wage there's like $3 a day or something really crazy. So coming there with US dollars, like, $3, doesn't mean it's like doesn't mean anything to you.
Yeah.
So it's just crazy, like the perspective over there. But yeah, the negotiating is something that you need to get good at, just in life.
Looking back, well, the one reason I didn't negotiate is because I deeply researched them all.
Mm-hmm.
All of the I-8s at the time were about 75,000, and they all had over 20,000 miles. But this one, not only was it blue, which is a much rarer color,
beautiful color,
but it was 8,000 miles less for the same price.
Yeah.
And then I think he did this on purpose, but he pulled up the Kelly Blue Book before I got there and just left it on his screen, didn't even address it. And the Kelly Blue Book was saying 80,000.
Nice.
So maybe he manipulated it there.
Yeah.
But I reiterate this a lot just because I don't want the people to make the same mistake as me. Don't buy the car in cash.
Yeah.
Do not buy the car in cash. Finance that fucker.
I mean, you can get you can get a good return with any cash investment, like much higher than a depreciating asset.
And if you tell them you're buying in cash, you would think they'd be more willing to negotiate. It's the opposite because they make most of their money on the finance.
Mm-hmm.
You got to give them even if you're paying in cash, you got to give them the illusion that you're gonna finance, or just say you don't want to say what you're gonna pay yet.
You live and learn, though.
Yeah.
I mean, now you have that knowledge, and I'll buy a Lambo one day, but I'm gonna definitely do it hacking
Exotic
the car.
hacking. Yeah.
That's just. Yeah, I don't even think very many people are aware that exists.
Mm-hmm.
That type of, and I guess it's the same way. Like, not many people know you can negotiate rent off of a lease.
Right.
It's just the same concept.
Yeah.
Just being shrewd and just sticking to it, and then if it happens, it happens. If not, then on to the next one.
Supply and demand.
Yeah,
fuckers.
absolutely. Yeah, someone's gonna want to move that Porsche one day for like below market value. Yeah. So it's crazy.
I've been honestly thinking about the Rolls Royce.
Yeah.
In terms of branding,
mm-hmm.
wrap that fucker in bright blue, satin blue, just like the I-8.
Yeah.
Hard to miss for sure.
Yeah, definitely. It's crazy. Yeah. I mean, I guess for me, I want a yacht one day. I want a big $100 million yacht. So in order for me to get there, I'll have to make some sacrifices on the way up.
Definitely.
So let's just see what happens in the next few years. I think what the changes that have already been done, like the ripple effect of that is going to be insane to watch develop as time goes on.
Yeah.
So I'm grateful that I have income coming in on my own account versus other people who are like laid off right now and stuff like that. It's just, it's insane.
Just going nuts.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I kind of like at first I was like, dude, people are probably going to start like looting and like pillaging if they can't afford to eat.
Yeah.
But that's why the government did, provide that stimulus package.
And now another one.
What do you think about all that? I think like that's deflating the price of the US dollar. I mean, what?
Well, they just did a negative interest rate, so that's confirmed that it's going to be inflated. So that's why Bitcoin is looking stronger and stronger. Yeah. But I'm hoping for another, because what's weird is you wouldn't think it, but Bitcoin kind of follows the market on stocks. You would think it'd be the opposite, right? Stocks go down, Bitcoin goes up. But really, like when Bitcoin crashed to 3,500, I regret not buying, but I'm hoping it crashes again somewhere coming up soon. If we see a second quarantine, shit's gonna hit the fan.
No, absolutely. I heard an economist saying like if this is a 3-month ordeal, 3-month quarantine, then we're gonna see a V-shaped recovery. We're gonna get back to normal. But if this is a year-long quarantine, then you better expect that things are not gonna look good at all long term.
Especially with the winter coming up, because if you look at the graph of the 1918 flu, the first wave went like this, bloop, and then it went like this, and then once winter hit, way up and then down.
Well, that's what they're saying. They're saying that this virus lives in the cold or something.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't put too much energy into like following the way things are playing out with just like you said, like this, the politics and stuff. Like, I just, I'm watching the economy very carefully, very closely, simply because, I'm invested and then I want to make sure that I'm yielding a good return. But if this does go into like a year, and if this goes into the next winter or
a Chinese war,
I mean, that would be.
It could easily happen.
It would change our lives forever.
Already has.
I know a lot of these young, I guess, influencers online. Like they've already been impacted quite a bit. It's just let's see who survives it.
Yeah.
Who can withstand the pressure. So
that's why it's important to have multiple streams.
Yeah, absolutely. How many are you at right now?
9 or 10, somewhere around there. And people, I remember how mad some people get over that. They love to box. Maybe you experience this on YouTube, but they love to box you in. They love to box you in. They're like, he doesn't make all of his money drop shipping. He's a scam. No, I'm just not dumb, and I just don't throw everything in one basket.
Absolutely.
I learn. I'm like, it's just crazy.
Yeah, I mean, seeing multiple income streams just like it just makes sense. Like you're not depending on one idea or one source of income ever,
Right.
you know. And like YouTube is the easiest way to like turn one income stream into multiple income streams.
And that,
you know.
Yeah, and that's when you don't even really think about. Like I don't even think about it, but what I'm making from YouTube is almost triple what I was making busing at Napoli too per month.
And
like,
that's just like that's a whole job in itself, just doing its thing. It's a system.
Exactly.
I mean, you know, you get to a point on YouTube where like the algorithm just carries you.
Yep.
And then you know, people think that's constantly a grind to like make videos and upload videos, but like I've been averaging like about the same amount of ad revenue monthly, and I made like one video like in the past like 2 months.
Yeah, get back on. I'll show you all the stuff I'm doing. Like I rank #1 dropshipping every single time now.
Yeah,
you can
good.
easily do that with Airbnb.
Yeah.
Easily.
All right, we'll have to talk about that a little bit off camera.
It'll probably take you like a month or two, and then what happens is once YouTube recognizes you consistently ranking, they just give you the rank right at the start.
Yeah.
So like for these vlogs I'm doing in St. Louis, like I already know this one video. I'll tell you it off camera. I don't want to reveal it yet, but guaranteed to go viral. I promise it will, especially with what I know with the algorithm. That's going to be the first thing that people see when they search St. Louis for a while. And it's going to be an intense one. Trust me.
Looking forward to it, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think anyone watching right now, like YouTube is by far like the single-handedly most lucrative thing you could ever do.
Definitely.
And this time, you know, people think like they've missed the wave. Like they think, oh, I missed the YouTube wave. It's like
everyone thinks that.
Yeah, that's how it's always going to be. Like
I thought I missed the drop shipping wave when I started 3 years ago.
You just killed it. Like right now, I'd say you're one of the more like established influencers in drop shipping.
I guess so. Yeah.
Which I don't know what you do with that type of. How do you sleep at night with that type of like responsibility?
I don't see it as a responsibility.
Yeah. I mean,
I see it more like I don't know. I think responsibility is the bad word. I just make the videos.
Yeah. You don't think about it. You just do it.
Yeah.
If you think about it, it gets kind of weird. I've thought about it in the past. It's like, you know, you're talking to thousands of people on the internet. Like I spoke in front of like 300 people at an event, and I was like shaking inside. I was like, this is kind of like nerve wracking. But then when you upload a video, you reach 100,000 people, and that's an insane amount of people.
Yeah, I think it was a little funner at the beginning when I didn't care. I do videos about lookalike audiences with shoes on my head. I remember I did this one video called "How to Outsource VAs for Drop Shipping," and the thumbnail was me. I didn't have a shirt on, and then I just shaved it actually. Only the left side of my chest.
You had the lav mic on your.
Yeah, you saw that one?
Yeah, I saw
and
that.
Only the left side of my chest had hair on it. And all the comments were like, what the fuck is this? What the fuck is this? But it's like, it's unfortunate because like now when I do that, like right when I'm filming, I'm like, okay, 77,000 subscribers. This potentially could get tens of thousands of views. When back then it was like max, I would get like 2,000, 5,000 views.
Well, you got to remember that's what got you where you're at right now. I like to say your sense of like your approach was so different at the time. I remember when he popped up in my like recommended.
Yeah.
I was like, this is cool. Like whatever he's doing is so original. I think you need to play on that originality and just keep going with it.
It's like the numbers can mess with my head. So that's why I went through like I guess the past couple months not posting too much. Just numbers, like so many people. And then like I filter some words out on YouTube. I'd never, and then Human's like, no, you got to go through all those comments held for flagging because that's just more engagement. And then it's like I did that once, and I'm like, you know what? I'll just leave that engagement. It's not worth it on my brain to see like what some of these people are saying because there's just so many people filled with so much hate. Yeah, especially right now, looking to take it out on somebody.
Absolutely.
And me, people like me and you, we're prime targets.
Yeah, I mean that's why I'm not emotional towards it. I understand that like they're coming from a dark place to put that type of energy out there. Things are probably not looking good for them, and it's just I believe that you get what you put out. Like whatever energy you consistently put out in a day, that's what's going to come back in your life, and that's unfortunate that these people just they need to learn that lesson. Yeah, and I think once you learn that, then things are just going to be a lot better.
100%. I like when I had the IAD, I felt embarrassed a couple times, especially like Like even like pulling up to a stoplight
Mm-hmm.
and there's like a homeless guy there. Like I feel embarrassed as shit right now. You know, I'm embarrassed. And last night I drove through Taco Bell, like a rare Taco Bell occasion,
Mm-hmm.
and I have the Camry now. And when I pulled up, I was just having this conversation with this lady, and then she started talking about, you know, like, damn, they're working us like illegally past midnight,
Wow.
and like the cops have showed up before, and somehow the franchisee talked them away.
Jeez.
And she's like, and then yesterday I found out I need to get a hysterectomy, so I gotta, you know, I need as many hours as possible because I need to like work so I can afford the surgery I need in a month. And if I was in an I-8, I would feel just so bad.
Yeah. I kind of understand that.
Yeah.
You know, it's just, yeah, don't let it take too much out of you though. I guess just keep focusing on your creativity. And like, I think the hardest thing to do in our generation is to be creative because, you know, everyone just likes to copy and like,
And you get bashed if you're originally creative.
Yeah. And obviously, like you said, like people take the wave, like they'll see you like winning or like having success with that certain thing. And then they'll come along and, you know, they'll try to do like word for word, like what you're saying, or like what you're doing. And then, you know, I don't know. It's just being creative is where it's at. Because
I just don't understand. I've never been the type of person to see someone doing something and be like, oh, I want to do it that exact way. Or like people are copying my tweets nowadays. Like people I'm actually like, I know personally are just copying my tweets, thinking I won't see it. It's like,
how do you feel about that? Like, how does that like make you feel? Even though like you probably shouldn't address it. You know?
I don't address it. You know, I just unfollow them. You know, I'm just like whatever. I could care less. But it's just it blows my mind that people actually think like that's how they're gonna get ahead of life. Like, I know there's one specific person who I think is very lost in what they have some success in their business, but I think they're very lost in who they actually are because they're only doing the viral stuff. Like every single song posted on the story is Meg Thee Stallion Savage or like those viral TikTok songs.
The songs are not that good.
Exactly. Like, not good at all, but just because it's viral, I'm going to post it. And then like, this is going viral. I'm going to make a video. It's like, it's just jumping. When it's like, I'd rather be the one creating the wave and have people surf it than be one of the surfers. It's like, that's why I have a trouble with going to concerts. It's like something about like a concert. I don't want to be part of the crowd. I want to be the guy controlling the crowd and anything.
Same thing with like working a job. Like I didn't want to be the one working for the wage. I want to be the one creating that system so people can work in it. I mean, it translates over to, I think it's just like a direct correlation to like what you achieve. So, you know, the Airbnb thing for me, like it was just like creative because I knew nobody was doing it. So I was like, I don't have a lot to look at in the sense of like, these ideas that'll come for these videos I'm going to make, they're going to be original and I can just, you know, play on that really hard. And it's proved to be the best decision I've ever made, I guess, financially. Right now, I mean, I'm just chilling. Like I don't do anything in the sense of like, you know, a turnover like work. I just, you know, communicate with guests and then the money's coming in.
Exactly.
And other people are like, you know, they're sustaining themselves off of like, you know, that money that can pay out. Like, you know, I guess paying out for a lawn service or paying out for like a cleaning service, like you're giving other people jobs and like
you're contributing to the economy. That's why, dude, I saw the cringiest tweet the other day. It goes, billionaires have no value in life and they give no purpose to anybody but themselves. And I go, do you really think they got there by, they just made a couple billion by not contributing to the economy, by not giving people jobs, by not doing anything? No. It's like, oh yeah, I'm sure Steve Jobs did nothing for the world. A billionaire, you know?
I want to say that I think people who take away their sense of self, like if I'm going to be doing something for me, that's not going to last very long. That's going to last maybe 5 years and then I'll be unfulfilled or whatever. It's going to fail. Like you're just gearing yourself for, you're setting yourself up for failure. But like if you do something and your purpose is to help others and it's just like you have no ego, you have no ill intentions, then that idea can survive and it could live longer than you.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of what, you know, I'm working towards right now, is just building something that's going to be there. And it's like the word, the personal brand, it's called Sleepover. So like that name is already in everyone's vocabulary.
Oh wow.
And that's
so that's your Airbnb account.
Yeah, gotcha. That's the account. Like when people are booking, they're booking with like a sleepover property.
That's
awesome. So like that is like the word Apple. Apple is in everyone's vocabulary. And now, you know, the brand Apple, they just, you know, they put a product in front of that word. So when you think of Apple, you think of Steve Jobs, you think of the legacy of the iPhone, like the personal computer. Like that's the same thing that, you know, it is achievable if you set up I guess the systems and the protocols right away from the beginning, like you can reach that level of, I guess, success, if you want to call it. And for me, it's not like I don't want to be a billionaire just because like I want to say I'm a billionaire. Like that would not be fulfilling. Like I've already found my sense of fulfillment, and that's building a system that helps others. And like you're watching it grow. It's like your baby.
Yeah.
You know, it's like you've done this thing. It's your idea, and now you're just playing on it, and you continue putting energy there, and it just grows. And that's exactly what I've experienced by just scaling, by stepping up to the plate and acquiring more risk and taking on more leases. Just like it doesn't feel like it's risk because it's my purpose. Like I know that this is the idea that can take me to whatever it is I wanted to do as a kid. Like I always knew I was like, I want to be a CEO. I said that even as like a little kid, like washing dishes at home, man. Like I want to be a CEO. And then I remember going to like, I went to Ash Grove. It's like a small farm town outside of Springfield. So like I graduated with 30 students in my graduating class.
Wow. So
my high school experience was like bizarre. It was very weird. I moved from like the city to the countryside, and just that I didn't really, I guess, adapt into that like environment very well.
Yeah.
And I told my personal finance teacher I wanted to be a CEO, and she's like, what do you want to be? Like, choose a career. And she told me, she was like, choose something more realistic that like earns like 40,000 a year. And yeah, I know. I was like, what? I got so mad. I was like, what? Why would you tell me like to try for less in life? Like if my heart wants to do something like that's grand and that's big, why would you tell me that I couldn't do that or like I shouldn't do that and strive for something more realistic? Like what is real at that point? It's like, it's what you make it. It's what's in your thoughts.
I guess she only knows what she's experienced.
Yeah. That's teaching though.
Yeah.
Like, the education system and information, the way it's been passed down with schools, it's just so slow. Mm-hmm. And, I think YouTube is just such a powerful thing because anybody can become like an educator on YouTube and make probably more money than they would if they were teaching for a full-time salary as a teacher at a school or something.
Easily.
So
back to that manifestation thing. I just remembered something. When I was, I would say, about 3 years ago is when I started getting into e-commerce 3 years ago today, but I was into SMMA and all this. I just moved into a house up the street that my friend Jesse built, and it was a really nice house. Like he works for Boeing, so he built this house, whatever. Mm-hmm. And I had my class reunion from grade school. I think like 20 people showed up, and I remember they kept saying like, oh, Scott, you live here. What do you do? Like, what do you do? And the way I answered it was, oh, I do e-commerce. Not that I'm a buster at this point. Mm-hmm. I haven't even launched a dropshipping store. All I'm doing is like messing around with e-commerce. But they said, what do you do? I'm not lying, but I do e-commerce. Yeah. But it was that implementation of that thought of I do e-commerce and live here. Ironically, like I was doing e-commerce and now I'm living in the Hollywood Hills or whatever. But my friend kept going like, no, his friend Jesse built it. It's not his. And I go, yeah, I know, but I live here, all this. And he kept saying that. He's like, no, like that. But he didn't really understand what I was doing to my own mind. Yeah. That was a direct visualization that ended up becoming your reality. Extremely true. Yeah.
And that's the power. I experienced the exact same thing. When I was in Costa Rica, I wrote down my 5-year plan, I guess, because I was like, I felt so inspired. I felt so like rejuvenated, just going out and experiencing these different cultures, these different places on earth. Like the energy is so crazy there. And that like got me like really motivated to come back and like do something. Like this idea that I had out there was to build this $1 billion enterprise, like this $1 billion household name of like what hospitality could be. And it's happening. Like it happened it was so aligned. Like just like the thought came to me, and everything that I've wanted to do towards this it's happened. And I'm so grateful for that. And it's just so, if people understand that, like what you do with your thoughts directly correlates to how you live every single day of your life.
Yeah, it's not thinking how to do it. It's not thinking when to do it. It's not thinking what to do. It's thinking that it will be.
Yeah, exactly. It'll just happen. And that's kind of how I met my wife.
How did you meet her?
I saw her on my Discover page on Instagram when I was like 20, I think. Wow. I don't remember. Yeah, I was scrolling through Instagram and I saw her, like she has a very distinct look. It's freckles and this dark red hair and tan skin. It's just like exotic. I like to think of it as exotic. Right. And I saw her and I was like, whoa, who is this? Like, she can't be from Missouri. Like, I was like thinking it was just some random girl on my Discover page, you know?
Right, from LA.
Yeah, like someone from like, you know,
New
way out,
York.
like, yeah, some far off land where the pretty girls exist.
Right.
And you know, it just so happened that like that was, I think, June, and like that fall, my cousin posted a picture of me on his Snapchat story, and I was, you know, it was just him, and it was just the two of us in my Jeep, and then she swiped up on it, and he told me that, and I was like, what? Like, she swiped up on it?
Did you know that your cousin?
No, I had no idea, because like she went
Wait.
so I went to Ash Grove, and she went to the neighboring town, Willard. It's like the town right over, like 10 miles away.
Yeah.
Like that's where she grew up and went to school. She's like been there since 2nd grade. Like, so she was in.
Did you know that when you found her Instagram?
No,
Wow.
no, not at all.
Whoa.
Like it was so like, I was like, this girl's out of my league. She's a 10 out of 10. Like, I'll never be able to, you know, have any type of conversation with her. I just kind of like, you know, I said it at like way out of my reach, but I something about that like picture, like I wanted it. I was like,
Yeah.
this girl is, you know, drop dead gorgeous. And when I guess that day, like my whole life changed after that day. Like I was like, my confidence levels like went through the roof. I was just like a new man. I was like, wow, like if that type of female is attracted to me, then, you know, I must have something that a woman wants, right? Because like prior to that, I had, you know, I grew up very sheltered. I had no experience with girls. Like I didn't kiss a girl until I was a senior in high school.
Yeah.
So like that whole part of my life was very like, it was a big question mark. Like I had no game or whatever you'd call it. Like, but it's cool. We just ended up hanging out, and then I was just myself. Like I was original. I didn't try to like be somebody I wasn't.
Yeah.
And we just got really close, and she's like the smartest, most beautiful human that I know. So
I love it.
yeah, it's crazy because like I personally don't know like many people who can say that they're happily like in a relationship, or like they have like, you know, they always seem to be arguing about this or that. It's like, you know, we don't argue. It's just like not a thing. Like there's nothing to argue about. Like we're we're young, motivated people, and it's just cool to do it together. It's very powerful.
So I wish I would have started the podcast with this, but it's crazy. The way that you met her is crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And then the way that I met her and you is so
Yeah,
crazy.
I know. You kind of met me because of her.
That's what I mean.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
We wouldn't be sitting here if
Yeah.
it wasn't for me upgrading my camera.
Yeah.
So basically, for those of you out there, the story goes, I'm posting these YouTube videos, and this guy, Robert, keeps getting the number one comment. First comment every time, always number one comment. I'm like, oh, okay. I started, I think your profile picture was like you sitting on something glass, so I didn't really see your face too much. And then I posted on my story, hey, I'm selling the Canon, I think it was the 5D Mark II.
Yeah, it's a good camera.
Great camera.
Great camera.
And this one girl, Alyssa, swiped up and says, hey, I'd like to buy it. We set up time, and she's like, I live in Springfield. Can you meet me halfway? For sure. So I'm sitting there. I'm skateboarding on my penny board, and then all of a sudden I see this massive, it was a Jeep, right?
Yeah.
Huge lifted Jeep, red, right?
Yeah.
Come up, and then she gets out, and then Robert gets out, and it ends up being the guy who's been commenting, top comment on every single one of my YouTube videos. And you probably saw the camera for sale, and then that's how it went, right?
Yeah, I was like, because she was looking for a camera already. I mean,
Yeah.
she travels all the time. She travels like the craziest countries.
Right.
And so she was just looking for a good camera, and I was like, hey, like this looks like a really good deal. You were selling it like way under market value.
Yeah.
And I was like, all right, you know, take it. And it's funny because like I DM'd you, and like I didn't get a response, and you'd reply to her right away. I was like, girls have so much power.
Wait, what month was this?
I don't know.
It must have been after January, right?
Yeah.
Okay, because that's when I started going a little more vacant. Because up until January 2019, I responded to every single message on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram, on my other Facebook page, on YouTube.
It's a lot of energy putting out there, man. Like just that's so much concentration. I know.
4 hours a day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think it probably attributed to your growth in some way, like having that level of connection. I know I've seen a lot of influencers, like, you know, they get to a point where they're so big they can't physically respond. And
no, it's like I'm seeing some people. I don't know if they're faking views or something, but they're getting like 50, 100,000 views on dropshipping videos, and they're getting like 20% of what my comments are, or 20% of the engagement, or even less than that, and it's questionable. But when you messaged me, did you message me about the camera?
I think so. I think I swiped up. I may have messaged you before about like some random, like, you know, whatever, like just probably, that's probably why, like it doesn't like pop up there. But
I think that's like
at the end of the day, like a lot of amazing things have happened in my life because of Alyssa. And I want to say like me being this motivated to earn income just for myself is because of her, like all because of her, because prior to her entering my life, I was headed down that like deadbeat path to be a nurse and like just work some dead end job, not being fulfilled at all. Like meeting her.
I wouldn't say being a nurse is a deadbeat path, just to be clear.
Okay, no,
because they help a lot of people.
Absolutely. I guess just the sense of not doing something that I want to do for me.
That's a better way to say it. For
Clear
sure.
that up.
Shout out to the nurses, especially right now.
They're the frontliners right now. They're the ones, gotta love that whole thing. I mean, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's just before I guess like my alignment, like what I was doing wasn't correlated to what I'm doing now until I met her, and I was like motivated to be someone, I guess, worthy of having a 10 out of 10 girl.
Yeah.
So
that's amazing.
It's cool. Yeah. I think I definitely thank her every day. It's just like crazy how life plays out like that.
Yeah.
And it's just cause like I had that thought, when I saw her profile picture, or when I saw that picture on my Discover page, I was like, I kind of attracted that, I saw that. I was like, that is the type of girl I want to have. And it just so happened that now we're married. So
2 years later, married.
Yeah, we're married. It's crazy. Like how's girl life with you? Like, are you looking for a relationship right now, or?
Oh, it's doing good.
It's doing good.
Yeah. I will say, I'm sorry that we waited till near the end.
Yeah. How long has it been?
Hour and 37.
Yeah.
But you actually are related through marriage to a pretty prominent YouTube dropshipper.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sebastian Gorgundi.
Sebastian Georgiou.
Georgiou.
That's how you say it.
That sounds Romanian too.
It's so Romanian.
Oh, it is Romanian.
Yeah, he's Romanian. Yeah, he's straight up Romanian.
What are Romanians like? Because you're related to him through marriage, right?
Yeah. So
Romanians just marry Romanians all the time.
Yeah, that's how they like to keep it. They like to keep it very tight cultured.
Alyssa's not Romanian, right?
I broke everything that I knew growing up. Like my mom, since I was like a little kid, she's like, you're gonna marry a Romanian girl, and like I broke that ice, I guess. And I was like, look, I'm gonna do what I want in my life.
How'd your family feel about that at first?
At first, it was like the impossible. I met her and I was like, we can't be together. That's how like serious it was. So we got through that, and I feel like if we can get through that, we can get through anything in this life.
Definitely.
So that's kind of what is going to keep us together forever. Is just overcoming anything. So
they want to keep the blood pure. Romanian.
It's so I don't know what it is. Eastern European. They want to keep that. I guess.
I see a lot of that in Bosnians and Croatians and Albanians, like very proud cultures.
Yeah, that's what it is. But then again, we're in America. Like I'm an American citizen.
Exactly.
This whole entire country is just a melting pot of cultures and different like ethnicities and stuff. So, Sebastian, he's the homie.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
that's super wild. Like it's weird how. Well, actually, he's the one who told you to get top comments, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So he plays a part in this as well. Because I kind of watched him on YouTube. He just blew up. I mean, me and him used to skate as like little teenagers. Like we'd be like 13 years old, just ripping skateboards in downtown Springfield.
Oh, what?
Yeah. Because he would come over like to visit, just like every now and then.
Oh, okay.
Growing up, and then I knew him. Like we were tired. Like we just go out and just have fun or whatever. And then out of nowhere, he just blows up on YouTube. It's like crazy influence. And then obviously e-commerce. Like that was, I guess he was like the first person I observed to be doing something against the grain.
Yeah.
And that's what inspired me to pursue some type of online income stream.
Gotcha.
Because it made, back then, it didn't really make a lot of sense. Like, the ideas, like you could see people talking about it, but actually having success at something like that, it seems so far-fetched, especially when all your whole life is just to go to get a college degree and get a job.
Right.
So that did help a lot, seeing him, exceed past all types of expectations and boundaries on what you could do, like working for yourself. The idea, just like making 1 cent in ad revenue, to me, it was like so exciting. Just getting that, like even making $1 on your own with your own idea is so much more powerful than like going to work a job and then just being paid for being there, like showing up.
Yeah.
So it's crazy. It's so exciting.
It is. Oh, one thing I want to tell you about is my worst Airbnb story.
Oh God.
I don't think I told you this, the New Year's Eve thing.
I don't think you have.
So there's a house in Fenton, Fenton, right down the road.
Missouri, St. Louis.
Well, Fenton specifically, damn near close to Jefferson County, which is the meth capital of the world.
Okay, yeah. I mean, Southwest Missouri is the same way.
So, it gets a little sketchy.
Yeah.
So we were like, fuck the bars. We don't want to just go into a huge crowd. Maybe we're worried about COVID even before COVID was a thing.
Yeah.
Intuition. So 10 of us decided to rent a house, 10 or 15 of us. We rented the house in Fenton, booked it. So what was strange was They said you get up to 20 guests, which already that's
It's a lot of guests.
Yeah, let's do that. I can't
Yeah.
believe that's approved.
Wow.
But to book it was $300 a night, and then the cleaning was $350. So the cleaning was more than just for the night, which I guess it makes sense if they're expecting 20 people.
It's a lot of upkeep.
So we booked it, I think, 2 days in advance, and then we get there. I messaged the lady a while ago. She didn't respond. We get there, messaged her again. She's not responding. We're outside, and we're knocking on the door. No one's answering, and I call her. It's going to, like not even a number that works.
Yeah.
And so knocking, and then I'm with my friend Logan, who you just met. He just left. And I'm like, whatever, man. I'm just gonna get this refund. We'll figure something out. And he's like, no, I'm just gonna open the door. And I go, what? He's like, yeah, we paid for this, bitch. I'm gonna open the door. And so he goes, he opens he knocks again really loud. Oh, he's like, what the hell? So he opens the door and he goes, oh, sorry. And he closes the door and he's like, yeah, we're here for the Airbnb. He's like, and the guy in there's like, I'm not seeing him. I just hear, oh yeah, give me 1 second. And he closes the door. He goes, bro, there's just some guy eating like cereal in the dark, like no TV, no lights are on. He was just eating cereal in the dark, looking straight ahead in the silence. And I'm like, well, that's weird. He's like, yeah, give me 15 minutes. I'll get out of here. And so we're waiting outside, and eventually he comes outside and he's like, fuck, guys, I can't find my keys anywhere. So he loses his keys in the house, whatever. He finally finds them and goes. So finally we get into the house. First thing, the whole thing smells like cigarettes. The trash is like half full.
That's a nightmare.
They have dirty like pans like on the stove that they obviously just used that morning.
Wow.
And then we're walking around the house. We look at all the beds. The beds weren't even made. So it's like their entire family must have woken up that morning.
So were they like just Airbnb in their own house that they lived in?
I don't know. I mean, eventually the lady got in contact with me and she says, oh, family emergency or whatever.
Wow.
I don't know what that is.
Were they on drugs?
I think that guy definitely was. And so like the beds, like I felt uncomfortable because like definitely the sheets were not clean.
No,
like,
I would not have stayed there.
I remember in the main room where they had a TV on top of their dresser. They had like probably 50 things like on the dress. Like there was shit everywhere. And the dirty towels like behind the door, like stuff that like.
That's not acceptable, man. Like, and see, that's the thing, like with Airbnb, I think that's why they get so much hate is because anybody could just list photos and then collect money.
No reviews on the property.
No, it's just like, and I know those people will be, filtered out, as time goes on. Yeah, exactly. Like you can't operate a business like that.
Hell no.
But dude, that's unfortunate. That'd be like
well, it even goes further as they forgot to mention that they had 2 cats too. So imagine if like I had a massive cat allergy. Like I just walked downstairs and all of a sudden I heard meow. And I saw another one meow. And then like it was like kids' rooms too. It was like, and then there's a whole bunch of other stuff that I can't even remember. I contacted Airbnb and I got the cleaning feedback, which I think made sense. Like we still stayed at the house, we dealt with it, but it's like it wasn't even clean for us, and it's a $350 clean fee. She's like, please don't do this. Like, we really need that money. It's like you could have like at least cleaned up before we got there.
A little bit. No, that's like peak. Like my like worst case scenario is like having some type of experience where there's 2 people trying to check in at the same time. Obviously, it should never happen. But it's like,
has it happened?
Having multiple platforms and depending on like, multiple platforms, like the counter integration is very poorly structured. It's called iCal, and it's just this very inefficient. It doesn't update right away. And I did experience like double bookings, and it's just very hard to deal with that because like someone committed and then like they paid you $300, $400, like, for a few nights to stay there. And then you got to tell them like, yo, you can't stay here. I crossed that bridge though. It was such a, like when I realized like there's a calendar that wasn't being synced to Airbnb and was getting bookings, like consistent bookings, I just like froze. I was like, no, there's no way. And like I had to do like 6 cancellations that day. I was on the phone for like 6 hours with customer support from booking.com. It was just like my brain was just like going back and like understanding that this was like a worst case scenario. Mm-hmm. So I crossed that bridge, and like obviously now everything is just back to how it should be. But that calendar integration is sketchy. I'm sorry to hear that you had that experience, man.
That was the only bad experience, really.
I experienced something similar in Seattle. Alyssa's a model, so she went and she was doing a job in Seattle, and I was just going with her. Yeah, just living life. And she, we booked an Airbnb that was like close to the ocean. There's like this house, whatever. It was like only thing we could find in that area.
Where next to the ocean?
It was like Kent, Washington.
Okay,
I believe that's where it was. So you can smell the ocean from like when you walked outside.
Yeah.
But this dude, he had the house that he was living in, and he moved to the camper in the front yard whenever we showed up. Like, he was back in the backyard, like, just weed whacking, just, like, doing his thing. Like, his stuff was everywhere. He had his own food in the fridge. He had, like, his, like, underwear and stuff, like, in the drawers, like, in the bedroom. And Alyssa and I, we were so uncomfortable there. Like, what is going on right now? Like, this is not be okay to, like, book. And he had, like, good reviews somehow. Like, people were just, like, telling, like, oh, his place was great. His name was Stanley. Like, Stanley's place was amazing. It's like, bro, like, this dude lives here. He's moving out for the night while you're sleeping in his bed. It was just so bizarre. I just don't think that is going to last very long. Like, those people who do that, like, it's, they're going to get filtered out.
Yeah. Did you see that New York penthouse I rented?
Yeah.
That $20 million one?
Yeah.
That guy, he's extremely smart. He was telling me how, like, he was drop shipping cigarettes in the late 90s when the internet came. He was making $1 million a week when he was 19, drop shipping cigarettes from Luxembourg to England.
Smart man.
Yeah, because they were taxing it, like, heavily. And eventually they basically, I mean, the government basically said they're going to kill him if he doesn't stop. Well, that's what his lawyer said would probably happen.
That's a lot of power.
But he did something it was crazy. He had, like, pictures of him and Trump on the wall, and, like, he was very, very well connected because he was the dictator for Seychelles, I think.
Seychelles?
Yeah. And so he says we deny 75% of people who book. We mainly only do it for, like, CEOs who are in town with, like, their family, and it's a very family-based, like, Airbnb because he doesn't want to get fucked up. He's like, we were 24. It was $2,400 a night for us, and he's like, French Montana just tried to rent this for a week for $15,000. We said no.
Wow.
Yeah, we said definitely not. Can't do that. So
he probably try to party it up in there. Or something.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. He's like, it didn't fit the image we wanted. So, and he told me this later. He's like, when you booked, I was 99% sure we were going to say absolutely not, this young guy, but you convinced us. But what he did was super sneaky. But it put us in a position where we just had to accept it. He was like, yeah, so. Because what happened was I booked it, and then while they were reviewing my social media, I posted on my social media, like, fuck yeah, just booked that fucker. This is going to be the best birthday ever, because it was my birthday weekend when we were just going to film this summit while we were there. We weren't going to have a party, and he took that as, like, he's going to have a party. Yeah. And so I talked it with him, and he's like, okay, you know what? We're going to book it for you. And after talking with you, it seems like, and then you got to do all these rules. I'm like, yeah. And he's like, and since it's your birthday, what I'm going to do is, Scott, I'm just going to upgrade you to the live-in maid for you only have to pay, it's usually $500 a night. We're just going to charge you $50. No, he said, I'm going to throw it in for free. Just be sure to tip her at the end. So she's just going to be your maid. She's going to, whenever you want anything, she's going to do it. So when we get there, she was there. She was like, if you need anything, let me know. And then all of a sudden she left, and we're just sitting there. And then all of a sudden, me and Jared were like, oh, let's check this place out. So we're going through the rooms, and we open one room, and she's in there with her dog.
Oh, my goodness.
And I'm like, oh, the maid stays with us.
Oh, my gosh.
So when we're offered a $500 a night upgrade for a live-in maid.
Don't take it.
Yeah, well, it's like, if we said no, that would be very questionable. Like, why wouldn't you want the maid? I mean, she cleans everything. She'll even cook for you. She did our laundry and everything. But definitely she was there to monitor us.
Oh, wow.
For sure, because luckily she didn't come out when we were filming, because we had all these massive lights, like, definitely super illegal to film in that specific building. There was even a thing where the amenities were at the very bottom, since New York City, like all the pools and stuff. Me and Jared were in the sauna, cool-ass sauna, and then we go and we get on the elevator, no shirt, just in our swimsuit, dripping all over the place.
$20 million penthouse.
Yeah, exactly. And
it's crazy.
I'm sitting there. I'm like, Jared, I don't know if we should. And then all of a sudden, it stops on L, because it was like the one below. It stops on L. This guy in, like, a full tuxedo, and with his wife in, like, this huge dress, and then this, like, really old lady in, like, an all dressed up. I don't know what you call it, but like very professional. Yeah. And she just starts yelling at us all the way up. And what I regret it saying is, like, so Justin was the guy who owned it. He's like, if anyone asks to say you're here with Justin, because I think he was actually paying them.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
Yeah,
like,
since it's illegal.
Yeah, it's definitely questionable.
If you Google his name, the second result is Manhattan millionaire illegally renting out Airbnb.
Oh, my goodness.
So I think he's actually paying them, so everybody kind of knows about him. Yeah. She's like, after she was yelling at us, she's like, who are you staying with? I'm like, oh, our friend Justin. She's like, huh, okay. And then gets off and makes a formal complaint. But what I wish I would have said was, because she saw that we're going to 54 PH, so obviously the penthouse. What I wish I would have said was, yeah, no, me and my friend Jared here, we just moved here. We just want to get like a cheap place for whenever we're in New York, just to have. So just to like make her feel like, because she was getting off on like 25 or something. So if she's like looking at these kids dripping all over, yeah, we just want to get a quick place. We should have said we're like Bitcoin billionaires or something.
I mean, anything's believable at this point.
Exactly. It's like, yeah, go ahead and make a fucking complaint.
Dang. Yeah, dude, that guy's risking a lot, actually, just Airbnb in New York City. That's very, very compliant right there. I mean,
somehow he's getting away with it.
Yeah. Well, that's why Airbnb has grown so fast, is because they call them unregulated hotels. So like, I could snap photos of this apartment right now and then post it on Airbnb tonight, and it'll be approved. Like, it'll just go through, and then someone can you start paying you money. Yeah. That's how fast and that's how easy it is.
Right.
And therefore, like, anybody and everybody, they started doing it. There's like 7 million hosts on Airbnb.
Wow.
And
what?
Yeah, like Marriott, I believe, has like, I guess, 1.5 million rooms available worldwide. Like, the biggest hotel brand like only can accommodate like 1.5 million people, were like 7 million listings on Airbnb.
Wow.
Like 7 million hosts.
Yeah.
And obviously, like, right, like, I'm a host, I have multiple listings. It's just because I see the potential. Like, for example, in Springfield, the rents are so disgustingly low. It's like 500 to 700 is literally my entire Springfield portfolio. Like $500 a month for rent. I'm making $2,000 off that property.
Right.
On that unit. So like the profit margins are crazy, as well as, even right now when everyone's slashing their rates across the board on Airbnb, we have such a low like expense that it doesn't even like affect us paying off our expenses. Like, it's just like we can operate at such a low price point. Like, right now, the average nightly rate in Springfield is like 53 a night, and we're operating at 49 a night.
Oh, that's not bad.
I know. So like, we're undercutting everyone, getting all of our units filled, 100% occupancy. It's amazing.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. So I think right now, like, being a pandemic-proof business, or like having a sense of like earning revenue through this time, that just speaks volumes of it. And that's why I'm happy I made that decision.
Oh, yeah.
To just jump into this. Because, like, at the end of the day, like, I like to look at it as a necessity. Like, people don't want to sleep, they need to sleep.
Mm-hmm.
You're no longer selling a want, you're selling a need. And therefore, that money is there. And that's why hotels generate so much. It's like, if you're traveling, you don't, like, if it was up to me, I wouldn't ever sleep. I would just operate, just keep, make the most out of all my time. But we have to sleep as humans. So it's crazy.
To end it off on this one, how many units, or even would you even do this? How many units would you have to be in control of to separate from Airbnb and have Sleepover be its own entity?
I'd say a couple thousand.
And that's where you're going towards.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's already a company that's done that. So there's actually a handful of companies that have done that. And they're one of them is worth $1 billion.
Do you know their name?
Sonder.
Yeah,
so they're already worth $1 billion, and it happened so fast.
Now, do they own the property, or are they renting?
Rental arbitrage. They have like 3,000, I think, in the pipeline right now. 3,000 units.
Oh, I wonder how they're getting hit right now.
I don't think they're getting hit hard at all. I think that they're getting through this just fine, because they have recession, they negotiated recession clauses in their leases. They said if the Dow drops 700 points in one day, then they get like a month free on rent or something.
Damn,
the Dow dropped dude, they're a very smart individual who's operating that company. So I think they're doing just fine right now. They're probably they probably don't have to pay rent for a year on any of their properties. Wow. I'm just assuming they have that figured out.
Wow.
So yeah, it's crazy. And just seeing their valuation, seeing what they've achieved, it's like that's right there.
Easily.
I could easily come to the scene and then partake in that. Obviously, I can look at what they've done and improve on it, and I think that's the one of the things of being first to the market. Like, obviously, you take over, but there's a lot of things that we could do better.
100%.
And looking and knowing that they're doing certain things is like it's powerful. So my goal is 100 by the end of the year, and I think I'm still on track. Depending on whether or not whatever happens with the economy, with the state of things. Like I said, I would have been at 25 right now. Like, with certainty, I already had I have the emails. Like, I would have been there. So, it's right around the corner. But for some reason, here we are. And I like to live in the moment. So I'm gonna make the most out of this time that we have, and that is what it is.
It is what it is.
It is what it is. That's a great. I don't know. It's just like it's chill. I I like to live life like that.
That's the way to live life.
Because you can always choose to look at something as a positive or a negative, and you think it's the worst thing that could ever happen to you. But if that doesn't happen, like maybe what happens in the future, you know, it won't reflect. I guess it's like the butterfly effect, you know.
Yeah.
You can look at it with a glass half full, with a glass half empty every time, and it's hard to do it with the glass half full. I'll tell you that much.
Especially right now.
Yeah, it's hard, but you have to do it. At least I believe so.
You give power to the to which one you choose.
Exactly. Well, man, it's been a pleasure.
Thanks so much for driving all the way up here.
Of course. That's not bad. I got the Range Rover. It goes smooth.
Yeah.
Yeah, get from point A to point B a little bit more comfortably.
Definitely.
Now versus that Jeep was a manual and it had 35-inch tires.
Oh, wow.
So like driving that thing just exhausted me. Like I was just tired. If I drove for an hour, I would be like exhausted, just shifting gears, like running that big machine. Luckily, you know, I was actually not even gonna get a Range Rover. I was gonna get a Toyota.
Toyota what?
A Toyota Tundra or a Tacoma, I believe.
Oh, nice.
But the guy wouldn't sell it to me, and he wouldn't sell it to me. I was like, okay, that's interesting. Whatever.
Why wouldn't he?
I don't know. The day after I bought the Range Rover, he dropped the price to the asking price that I wanted. It's one day later, so it just wasn't meant to be.
Oh, he didn't want to sell to you for the price you're.
Yeah,
okay,
I was asking to buy it at market value. I'm not going to overpay for a vehicle.
No.
He was asking more than Kelly Blue Book. I was like, you know, let me buy this. Like, why not? Like, the money is right here. Like, just take it. And he's like, no, he's like, get lost or something. He said some sarcastic comment. I was like, dude, this guy is just like, it ruined my day. I was like, what? And then the next day I bought a Range Rover, and then he drops the price. So I just see that as like, you know, it is what it is.
It is what it is. All right, well, thanks for coming up. Tell Sebastian I said what up.
For sure.
What do you want the people to know?
If you want to follow me on YouTube, it's fine. I'll be sharing my I guess the process.
Yeah. I'll link everything.
Okay.
Instagram, YouTube.
That's about it.
LinkedIn. All your Airbnbs.
Come book my places. Actually, I don't know if I want to mix the two. Like, a part of me is like, I don't know if it's a good thing. What if it comes back on me?
Well, are you planning on making any more YouTube videos coming up here soon? Since you took a bit of a hiatus.
Yeah, absolutely.
Good.
Yeah. I'll just say, I mean, I guess I don't really have much to say on what I'm doing and what I'm dealing with because it's just questionable. You know, everything is uncertain right now.
That's what people want to know, though.
Yeah.
Whatever your thoughts are.
Yeah, I made a 33-minute video the other day, kind of going through everything. I shared my numbers too.
Did you post it?
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. So we'll see what happens.
So be sure to check that out. Subscribe to him. He's got tons of stuff on Airbnb. Is such a interesting platform. I'm glad that I actually know someone who actually is killing it in it and is very knowledgeable of it because you just cleared a lot of things up for me today. And I'm sure everyone watching this too.
Yeah. Cool.
Well,
thanks for having me on, man.
Absolutely.
Peace.
Peace.